This is Whataburger Friday Night Stars, presented by Game On Sports, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, and the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Here's Kyle Yeomans, Zach Walchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Heckma Harrison.
Round 2 of the Texas High School football playoffs are here. It's the area round across the state of Texas, and man, we are excited to bring it to you live from the Star in Frisco. As always, we are Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Kyle Yeomans alongside Zach Walchuk and Eric Chiafalo. Unfortunately, no Heckma Harrison this week. It's pretty sad not seeing good old Heckma in the chair, but I know he's listening. I know he's watching. We may have to call in with him a little bit later and have a conversation with him. But overall, it has been an unbelievable week already of Texas high school football. Hope you had an incredible Thanksgiving and really into the weekend. Now it's Black Friday and it's time for football to take the center stage, guys.
Yes, it is. And it is my favorite week of playoff time. I love the area round of the playoffs. I think you get some of the best matchups across the state. You still get a whole lot of area teams that are still involved in this one. And this is the round. In the bi-district, you get some teams that maybe don't belong. They had a weaker district. They're able to get in with that 4th seed. Now, I think you got teams that deserve to be there. They've already got one playoff win under their belt. And we have some unbelievable matchups to go through that have already been taking place all the way till tomorrow. It's Thanksgiving week. There's no round better than the area round, in my opinion.
It's a beautiful time. Thanksgiving was so good. Heckma is still in his food coma, right? Is that
I
why
think
he
that's
couldn't
exactly
make it?
where he
I have
is
two
currently.
sources close to the situation telling me he's still on his couch, food coma. He hasn't got up.
I thought he was so ashamed by his performance last week that he was too embarrassed to come back
in the prediction
this week.
segment. Is that what you're referencing?
He got worked as usual. I mean, he likes to talk the talk.
Well, he faced a little
adversity
adversity for the first time this season, and then he doesn't show up. Yep. And he can't face Walchuk eye to eye.
I think it says a lot about his character, and I'm flat out disappointed.
I think we all are.
I think we are a little bit disappointed. No, none of those reasons are why Heckma Harrison is not in the building.
Don't cover for him, Kyle.
I am covering for him. Look
Kyle,
at the empty chair.
Do
Just
not
all by itself.
Everybody say hello to Heckma.
No.
Hello.
That's not even he'd
He's
be
never
in the
looked
chair
better.
that I'm in right now. He comes in every time. He's got to have the chair with the arms.
It's so sad seeing
kicks
it all
me,
empty.
He bullies me out of the chair. So that's the chair I usually sit in. That's over there.
Look at the back on that chair.
God,
okay,
it's
that
so
is
lonely.
not durable right there. That is not durable. That's why I stand.
Well, now that we've gotten that out of the way for the first segment of Whataburger Friday Night Stars, let's actually talk about what we're
You're
told
in a world
to talk
of trouble
about
today. You're just with me and Zach. Like,
I know
this is
a train
You
wreck.
better loosen up, man.
I am all by myself today, man.
And it is evident as ever.
Oh, man. What a week of Friday night football action already underway. Of course, no games yesterday with a Thanksgiving holiday, but it's all about today and tomorrow. Lots of games tomorrow. And usually from the 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock show, we're looking at previewing other games, but that's not necessarily the case this week because plenty of these games have already gone final. A lot of games that kicked off at 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock are either final or nearing their final here in the North Texas area, but also a lot of games going on tonight that will also give you the updates and analysis for throughout the entire night. So we're glad you're with us here at Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Guys, how about let's get things started by going to the 6A Division I ranks. Let's go to the big boys first and take a quick look at the playoffs around the area, starting with 6A Division I Region 1 as we take a quick look at the bracket and really kind of look through some of these matchups that we really went in depth with last week. Of course, Trinity and Franklin, that's a game that has already gone final. This is round 2 into round 3 is what we're looking at on this bracket here. South Lake Carroll and DeSoto. South Lake, of course, off of their huge win over Coppell last week. Now, DeSoto is the team that's tabbed with trying to stop them. What a game that will be. And then we're in the third quarter with Arlington and Lamar and Odessa Permian. Another great game. And Arlington Lamar just holding on at the moment. And then Louisville, Duncanville, another game. One of the big things to look at, though, you look on that left-hand column, the very left-hand side of the screen, guys, all chalk so far inside the 6A Division I Region 1 area. No upsets there. It's the best of the best playing in the area round.
It's like Heckma went in and put in, okay, this is who's going to advance because, he's all chalk. But this is what it's all about here in the area round. Look at those 4 matchups.
Unbelievable.
You have Euless Trinity, who just won 44-28. And again, it was a typical Trinity grinded out up 20-7 at halftime. 396 of their 576 total yards in this one came on the ground. So I mean,
did Brandon Theus just have a day or what?
I mean, Brandon Theus was A.J. Barnett was involved. He had 159 yards on the ground in this one. And for Trinity, now it sets up. They'll play the winner of South Lake Carroll DeSoto, as we saw in that bracket. So absolutely crazy matchups going on in the area around that sets up some awesome regional semifinals.
Yeah, it definitely does. But you look at Euless Trinity, after suffering that loss early in the season, or right in the middle of the regular season to Haltom, 48-34 was that final score. Look at the games that they've had since then. 38-7 over Weatherford. Then they dismantled Abilene, 34-16. 48-3 against Richland. Euless Trinity then went on to beat Arlington Martin 56-34 in that opening round. And that was even a game that early we thought Arlington Martin may have had a chance to win. That wasn't the case. That Euless Trinity team wears others down. In order to do so, you got to run the football, and that's exactly what they've done all season long, Eric.
Yeah, no, they've been dominating. And Brandon Theus, you mentioned AJ Burnett?
A.J. Barnett, yeah.
A.J. Barnett. And when they get a stable of running backs going, it's been Theus most of the year, but we've seen A.J. come on these last couple of weeks. If they get that thing going, now they got a big matchup coming in next week. It's going to be fun to see who they end up playing. But, dude, what a time for Trinity right now. They seem to be clicking on all cylinders, and they're hitting their stride into the playoffs. And they are, Heckma says, the running game and defense travels. Trinity's bringing that every week.
Yeah, they are bringing it, and they're going to have to bring it next week because it doesn't matter who they end up playing next. It's going to be a dogfight nonetheless. Let's look at that game and preview the DeSoto versus South Lake Carroll matchup that will await Trinity, or the winner will await Trinity on the other side. But these are two teams going into the year that we said, hey, that's a legitimate team that can win a state championship. And this game being played tomorrow at Mansfield's Vernon Newsom Stadium, and oh, my goodness. Zach, you said it yourself, and I don't think it could be put any better, but this is what it's about in the area of North Texas. Two powerhouse programs, really just both with a lot of momentum. I know DeSoto suffered that loss at the end of the season to Cedar Hill, who, by the way, got knocked off, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But the fact that they're 9-2 going into an 11-0, running into an 11-0 team in South Lake Carroll, man, that's going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait for it, honestly. I mean, I know, Eric, you've done some digging and diving trying to find the good nuggets, but it's 3 straight years that these teams have met in the area around. I believe they've traded wins in those 3 seasons. So DeSoto, obviously, 2 years ago, a state champion. Last year, I think it was South Lake Carroll got the better of them. And in this one, you've got explosive playmakers all over the field. Yeah, no, it's going to be incredible. We know about the athleticism on both sides of the ball. Now, if you go into the last week, 55-53, DeSoto over Skyline. It was a nail biter for South Lake side of things. They just absolutely dominated Coppell. They ran the ball incredibly. TJ McDaniel over 300 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, and the defense gave up negative 30 yards rushing. They were absolutely dominant last week. And then Shandarian Ward, we know he had 4 touchdown passes last week, and the DeSoto defense gave up over 200 yards rushing. I think that's going to be where this game's going to come into play. TJ McDaniel over 300 yards just last week, and you got DeSoto, they gave up 200 yards last week on the ground. So that's really where I think the game takes its turn for South Lake, is they're going to be able to probably run the ball pretty well. We saw it happen last year when they won 33-15 over DeSoto. TJ McDaniel and Will Bowers, it was their show, and they absolutely dominated. They've only gotten better this year, believe it or not, so I'm sorry, DeSoto. But listen, DeSoto's packing a heck of a team offensively and defensively. These guys are really, really good, but last week they gave up the rushing yardage, and that makes me go, okay, South Lake, you might be able to run the ball pretty well. But 2 first-year coaches, which is pretty cool for both schools, and they've met each other now 3 times. This will be the 3rd time. It's the rubber match. It's going to be absolutely exciting. But I think when you think about the player in this game that sort of makes it, that tilts it one direction, when you look at R.J. Mickens, and I know he was Heckman's player to watch a few weeks ago. I mean, this dude's an absolute stud. He plays both sides of the ball. And when you think about a guy who can dominate offensively and then turn around and try to shut down one of those many great skill guys for DeSoto, he's going to be probably a huge, huge factor in this game.
Yeah, going to be a huge factor, and whoever can run the football better might end up winning this football game, and it looks like that could favor South Lake with TJ McDaniel.
I think it absolutely will.
And I don't think there's any question about it, honestly, that he is the advantage and whether he can.
And the running of Will Bowers as well. I mean, they have both of those guys able to do that. That's going to be a struggle for DeSoto there. But this one should be quite the game, I would imagine.
Yeah, this is definitely a blockbuster throughout the North Texas area. Let's continue down the rest of that 6A Division I Region I bracket, starting with Odessa, Permian, and Lamar. This is a game that's currently in progress in the middle of the fourth quarter, and man, this is a football game to say the least. 28-28. Permian, last time we looked at that bracket, was down 28-21. Well, they have since been able to tie this thing up thanks to a Justin Hammond 16-yard pass from Christian Rodriguez that he was able to reel in and make it 28-28. But this is a game that Arlington Lamar, at the end of the first quarter, was up 21-0.
Mojo, man, they don't quit. Like you said, I mean, 21-0. They're down to an explosive offense early in Jack Dawson and company with Arlington Lamar, and that Permian power, they fire right back into this thing, score twice, 21-14, and Lamar answers, 21-14, then Lamar's up. And like you just said, Kyle, Justin Hammond, a pair of touchdowns to tie this thing up at 28. This is going to come all the way down to the wire between Arlington Lamar and Odessa Permian. Another Goliath matchup here in this area round.
It's just a great comeback by Permian there. And when you think about the fact that they do it all on the ground, you know, look at the difference between, they only have 55 passing yards. You get down 21-0. A lot of teams want to go abandon the run. Permian says, no, we're going to stay with who we are. We're going to run the football. And they've climbed themselves back into this game. And like you said, Zach, now it's going to come down to the wire. And now being able to run the ball is a massive advantage when the game's in the balance in the fourth quarter. So now it probably swings that way. Obviously, momentum is clearly on their side. Can Jack Dawson do it again? He was really one of the main reasons why they put up so many points there early in the game. Can he close the game out for him? Gosh, this game's coming down to the wire.
And Christian Rodriguez, when you talk about, yes, Permian's a run-heavy team, but they've scored their last two touchdowns through the air, only 55 yards passing, but he's making them count. He's 5 of 6, 2 of those 5 completions, 4 touchdowns for Christian Rodriguez. So while, they might be a little bit vertically challenged, they're finding a way to at least make Lamar respect their passing attack.
And these are two teams that, if they didn't look down and see DeSoto awaiting in the next round, potentially either Duncanville or Louisville would be their next round opponent. DeSoto could be later on in the region. However, but both of these teams are legitimate state championship caliber teams. Arlington Lamar dismantled a good San Angelo team by over 40 points last week as they beat them 55-14. So this is a Lamar team that's being challenged by Odessa Permian, who we've seen all year challenge some of the top teams in the North Texas area despite being from out in West Texas. Let's look at that Louisville-Duncanville matchup as we continue through Region 1 of 6A Division 1. And Duncanville kind of had a little bit of a scare last week from South Grand Prairie. They were able to pull away toward the end of that first half, but it was the most points given up by the Panthers all season long. Louisville, on the other hand, had a hard-fought win and continued their winning ways as they're now 9-2. The records and the stats don't really do it a whole lot of justice until you get down to the bottom. And it says total offense and total defense. This game kicking off tomorrow, but look at the difference there. Probably right around even for Louisville there, 275 on offense, 252 on defense. But Duncanville, the way that they're able to dominate defensively tells the story.
Really, both teams, right? I mean, this is an outstanding matchup of defenses, and I know this is Eric's kind of game, right?
Yeah, it sure is. No, the defenses in this game are going to come to play. The difference is Duncanville, when they're playing at their best, their offense can put up fantastic numbers. So Louisville's not so much the same. Louisville needs this to be a grinded-out slugfest game, and Duncanville, listen, you're talking about two teams. Louisville 7th among 6A area teams in defense. Duncanville number 1 in area defense regardless of the classification. We know Heckma refers to them as the duffel bag boys.
The duffel bag boys.
That's right. These guys are incredible. Last week, you saw Jaquindon Jackson. He was dominant with his legs. 3 touchdowns, 180 yards. Their defense, I know they gave up 14 points, but they shut them out in the second half. So they came out in the second half. Defense played exactly the way they've played all season. They're plus 493 in point differential. They haven't just been beating teams. They've been absolutely dominating teams. And the one thing I want to give you here is that the punter last week, Anthony Cruz, he had 2 punts that landed at the 1-yard line last week. That ended up allowing Duncanville to get a safety. And in a game like this, when defense matters and the margin for error can be very, very huge, man, if Duncanville's able to have a punter that can pin Louisville way back, and again, the defense last week for Duncanville was able to get a safety off of it. So I think that could be a little bit of an X factor in this game. But Louisville, listen, between A.J. Newsome, who, listen, last week he accounted for 4 touchdowns last week, fantastic. He's going to have to do that again. Ben McAfee, Dalen Clark, somebody's going to have the game of their life against this Duncanville defense. But if they can slow things down, make it that 10-7 style game, Louisville is going to have a chance. But if Duncanville is able to open this thing up, then it's going to be a world of trouble for Louisville.
And we have a little bit of a correction on the graphic there. That is now the correct stat line, where it was 54-5 overall on average for a Duncanville team that's just absolutely dominated. But looking at this bracket, I should say, we went through Franklin Trinity. Trinity won that football game. Then you've got South Lake Carroll, DeSoto, Permian, Lamar, Louisville, Duncanville. Is Duncanville still the favorite out of these bracket or out of this region to try and make something happen, or is there a chance that Carroll or DeSoto can sneak up on Duncanville and try and make something happen here?
Today, I would say today.
Probably not today. I'm looking into the future of winning this region, that we're looking at the region as a whole.
I mean, I did pick Duncanville, and I still think Duncanville has the ability to come out of this thing. But I think the most impressive team, the most consistent team throughout this year is probably South Lake Carroll. I think absolutely when you look at what South Lake Carroll was able to do against Coppell last week, Duncanville struggling a little bit. I think Duncanville still got some of the best athletes. Jaquindon Jackson's an outstanding player at quarterback. Their defense is second to none. What they've been able to do at 6A has been at a historic level. But top to bottom, when you look at defense mixed with ability to score, it's probably South Lake Carroll. But this is a who's who of a region, my man.
It is. And that's kind of why I was asking. Duncanville kind of stumbled a little bit out of the gates, at least postseason-wise, and I wanted to see if you had fluctuated on your pick at all. I think I would still pick Duncanville out of this, but I agree. I think South Lake Carroll's a team that could knock off Duncanville the way that they've been so consistent on the offensive side of the football, but that hopefully will happen. I don't know, either DeSoto or Duncanville getting to that regional final would be an absolutely magnificent game to keep an eye on. Let's go to 6A Division I Region 2. Talk about who's who. There's some who in this one as well. Sound like an owl talking about it. But
who.
Yeah, exactly. But overall, you look at the top of this region and automatically, hello, Allen Eagles against the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. And Rockwall had a big-time win last week over the Belton Tigers, a good team out of the Super Syntax region. But then you look at Allen as well. They took down Rowlett with relative ease on their side of the football too. So both Allen, both Rockwall coming in on a massive momentum swing, both high-powered offenses. Is this a game where we could see close to 100 points put up on the board?
Fellas, I'm excited for this matchup. Now, Allen is an absolute juggernaut. And look, Rockwall's head coach, Rodney Webb, was asked, how do you beat Allen? And his response to this was, quote, I don't even know if I can answer that. Allen is the most complete high school football team I think I've ever seen on tape in all phases. They're on a completely different level. Now, I do have some nuggets that might bode well in Rockwall's fashion. The last teams to beat Allen in the playoffs, and one of them happens to be in this region who they might play in the regional semifinal in the Woodlands, that is. So Allen, we know all about it. They've won 27 straight. They've won 98 out of 100 games. But the last two teams to do it, the Woodlands knocked them off in 2016, and Austin Westlake knocked them off in 2015. Now, what did both of those teams have? Well, they had elite quarterbacks, Sam Ellinger for Austin Westlake, who's now at the University of Texas, Eric Schmidt at quarterback for the Woodlands, who's now starting at Sam Houston State, and they also had outstanding receivers, Kylan Granson, who's at SMU for Westlake, and Kashawn Carter, who's now at Texas Tech for the Woodlands. And both teams were able to shut down Allen's running game and force them to throw. The other key is they started fast. They jumped up by 3 scores or more against Allen, and Allen rallied in both games and lost by a touchdown, but they were able to get up by enough that it avoided an Allen rally. What does Rockwall have? They've got an outstanding quarterback in Jacob Clark. They've got maybe the best receiver in the area who's only a junior, the Ohio State commit, Jackson Smith Njiba, who's one of the best players. And defensively, Rockwall's overlooked a little bit. We saw Anthony Orgy, who's a Vanderbilt commit with the hit of the week last week.
Massive.
Here on Friday Night Stars. So Rockwall has some of those components where they could go ahead and make this a challenging contest for Allen. But we can also be realistic. This Allen team might be more dominant than any of the previous teams they've had during this 6-year run. Grant Tisdale is unbelievable. Theo Weiss is unbelievable. They've got an outstanding offensive line. They've got depth at running back, and their defense can get it done at every single level.
It's been an unbelievable, really just season to watch how good this Allen team is. But I agree with you. I see the firepower from this Rockwall Yellow Jackets offense and say, hey, they might be able to keep up. If you can get a couple defensive stops from that Rockwall defense, which we talked about last week, Of course, the unbelievable hit that they had on from Anthony Orgy and what happened there. You already mentioned him. But this is a defense that could get a couple of stops and maybe make this a football game. Looking back last week, that Belton Tigers offense had a couple games this year where they were either knocking on the door or were in the 80-point mark. So that was a high-powered offense, held them underneath 20. And it was really with relative ease all the way throughout. So this is a game where if you're Allen and you're not careful, it could be an upset, and this could end up seeing the number one team in the state, one of the top teams in the country, out early, which would be really chaos throughout, or at least it will be a good football game. So we'll keep a close eye on that one.
If Allen dominates this Rockwall team, then everybody else is just in a world of trouble.
Yeah,
because this is a really good Rockwall team.
No doubt.
And
And
if
good
Allen just goes
matchups as
out
well.
there and rolls, yes, exactly. Like this is kind of the one of the teams you can think maybe they could actually match up and go ahead and beat this Allen team. If this isn't even a game, then my goodness, all these other schools are just going to be like, what the heck are we going to do now?
That's the thing, is if they're able to go in and dominate this football game, this is also a chance for Allen to separate themselves
Make a
as well.
huge statement tonight and just put it on Rockwall.
You're exactly right, because if they go in and take care of the Yellow Jackets early, I don't know who
that's
stops
Rockwall
them. I really
only
don't.
chance. I mean, if we look at halftime and Allen's already up 3 touchdowns, I think that's all she wrote, my man. I don't think we talked about the offensive firepower, but clearly the key to beating Allen, you're not going to win on a comeback against them. You're going to have to get up out in front, make them chase you. That'll be the key. A fast start for Rockwall. That one kicks off here at 6 o'clock.
And I do want to look back at that Region 2 bracket really quickly, because I want to talk about the games that could potentially end up with Allen or Rockwall in it here in just a week or so, because on the other side of that bracket, they've got Cedar Ridge and the Woodlands, which right now are at halftime. That's a darn good football game with Cedar Ridge, one of the teams that made a deep run into the postseason last year. And then, like you said, the Woodlands, a traditionally strong program, has a lot of athletes coming out of that program year in and year out. So either one of those teams, whoever emerges from that game that's right now 23-21, has a legitimate shot to at least challenge Rockwall and or Allen if or whoever comes out of that game. We probably expect it to still be Allen, but even if Allen does get out of that district or out of that game, then Cedar Ridge or the Woodlands could make that a football game in the second half too. But I do want to go down to the bottom here of this Region 2 bracket. This is a game that kicks off at 7 o'clock tonight. Saxe and Waco Midway. And now Waco Midway, very close to my heart. I'm a graduate of Waco Midway, but I think the Panthers might be in a little bit of trouble, because I think Saxe is a really good football team. And you look at the record, 9-1 Midway. That one loss came early in the season to Trinity. They had a loss that was basically already written up against Mansfield Lakeridge, who we see both of those teams being really good programs as of this moment. And this is a different Midway team than when they played up in the North Texas area last. But you could say the same thing about Saxe, who has been on an absolute tear over the last couple of weeks.
They've been streaking for how long now? 8 weeks?
9, I think.
9 weeks?
Yeah, they've won 8 straight. They started 0-3, and it's really all about that switch to Derrick Rose at quarterback.
Yep.
And they've been a completely different football team. And defensively, they're outstanding. Even with Hunter Spears going down to an ACL, the Notre Dame commit, they've come back and they can score. I mean, they're one of those schools. They've got the ability to turn defense into instant offense. So this is a great matchup with the Waco Midway team. This is actually a prediction game for us. So
Yes.
I don't know if we want to hold off on giving our picks till later. Or
We'll hold off.
Okay.
We'll go to that later, but I did want to preview this matchup.
and
But
I don't wanna make-
Saxe's one of the more, I can't really pinpoint how good they really are, because offensively, they're not going to wow you. They're kind of a run-oriented team. They play great defense, but you question, can they get the big plays in the passing game? Obviously, Derrick Rose is just an athlete at quarterback.
Two-sport athlete, man.
But,
what a stud.
if Waco Midway can prove to have some kind of offensive success, I think it's an interesting matchup between the two schools.
I look at this as a chance for Midway, who has an inexperienced quarterback under center, or behind center, I should say, out of the spread. But it's a chance for Midway to show that they have the running game. James Fulbright is their tailback. He's an all-world running back, and he has a chance to break John Hubert's touchdown record with a couple more scores from the program in Waco for Waco Midway. But on Saxe's side, that defense has been so stout that I don't know if that offense is high-powered enough to get past that Saxe defense. And the fact that Derrick Rose and that offense have been humming the way that they've been playing, this could be a long night for Midway if they can't get off to a quick start early.
Yeah, and I don't want to make you sad, Kyle, and go ahead and make this prediction. Like we should. I don't want to. I don't want to bring Kyle's spirits.
You want
to
just not predict
early.
it?
Yeah.
We'll let
at
Heckman
least,
do it.
just not till the end.
We'll talk to Heckma about it later. All right, guys.
Well, we know he's going to pick the favorite, so whoever that is.
Whoever
I
wins
didn't
this
look.
game.
I should.
That's true.
Well,
I don't know
then
who.
we don't even need to hear from Heckma. We can just tell you who his picks are.
There you go. Just throwing shots at Heckma every single
he's not
time.
here. I mean,
I know he
he's
can't
not
defend
getting
himself.
That
It's not
empty
even fair.
That empty chair is just
It's
really
not
upsetting
fair,
me.
guys.
Where are you, Heckma? This chair it's waiting for you.
I think he's in Oklahoma.
Where are you?
All right, guys, let's go. We're going to take a quick break. We're through segment number 1 of Whataburger Friday
you,
Night
Heckma.
Stars. When we come back, we'll look at 6A Division 2, and we'll talk about Heckma Harrison, maybe a little bit more. We're live from the Star in Frisco. We're Whataburger Friday Night Stars, and we'll be back here in just a moment.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
You want to bring the heat? Prove it. With carbs to help fuel muscles. And electrolytes to help replace what you lose in sweat. Studied, tested, proven. Nothing beats Gatorade.
On a Forbidden Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Ramon, we can't.
But Julia,
We're rivals.
I can love you and still hate your overrated school.
We have 2 different defensive philosophies. You're a base 4-3 cover 2, and I'm an
aggressive 3-4 with press coverage. I get it, but we both love Dr. Pepper.
Oh, Ramon.
Touchdown, State!
Yes! In your face!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called Fan Tag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. Fan Tag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the Fan Tag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try Fan Tag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. we offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top-name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in-store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
In a world where a young family embarks on an incredible journey, a son gets lost in an epic film. A father wills his team to victory, while a mother tries to talk to her daughter, who is posting online at a rate she has never seen until now. With high-speed Wi-Fi, free live TV and movies, there's something for everyone. Download the American app, and the best in entertainment travels with you.
Whataburger Friday Night Stars back here from the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. As just down the hallway from that, we have our first final, or at least one of our first finals from the Ford Center in the playoff action. Let's go take a look inside the Ford Center, as right now Whataburger Friday Night Stars gets Frisco, Reedy, and Midlothian. These are some highlights from this game where Frisco Reedy really controlled from the get-go, and that's a good Midlothian Panthers team, guys, that really kind of worked their way through the 5A ranks, and Frisco Reedy is able to dismantle them and continue the hot season that they have had, as they are unbelievable, and they continue to put up big-time numbers, this time inside the Ford Center, as they defeat Midlothian. Looking at the score on that one, as Reedy wins it 52-29. Finally got that updated, but 52-29 over a really good Midlothian team. That's an impressive win for the Frisco Reedy Lions, guys.
Yeah, we've talked about Reedy really for at least the second half of the season as wow. This is one of those teams that is really, really good on both sides of the ball. We know about their quarterback, Mr. Foskey.
Foskey.
Absolutely. This guy's incredible. They're a well-balanced team offensively and defensively. They play very well complementary football. And when you're a team like Midlothian coming in here against Reedy and you're coming into the game one-dimensional, you can really only run the football. Reedy's going to take that away, and you're going to be in a world of trouble. And that's exactly what happened today.
Yeah, and you look at Midlothian as a team that last week knocked off a very good Red Oak squad, 42-13. Maybe the slipper just didn't fit for Midlothian to try and make that Cinderella run throughout the playoffs, because they beat a good Red Oak team and they came up against a better Reedy team the week afterwards, and that's just kind of how it goes in Texas high school football playoff action. Is you look at it and one week you get a great upset and things are going right for you, then you turn around and you got a whole nother problem on your hands. And that's exactly what Midlothian and Reedy looked at as this game kind of unfolded, and Reedy just took advantage from the very beginning.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Foskey, he had 304 yards, 5 touchdowns to the air. The thing we've talked about all season with Reedy is they've got the ability to win pretty much any way you want to do it. And they put up a ton of points. If you want to do have a track meet with them, they'll do it. They can beat you in the air. They can beat you on the ground with Ferrara, who had 77 yards and a couple of scores. And defensively, they're stout as well. This is a very, very complete Frisco Reedy squad looking for that perfect season. And you look down the road, I mean, there's potential matchup for them against South Oak Cliff or against Aledo if they're able to make it to that regional final. Oh, man, that should be tasty.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun to look at. And another big-time win for Reedy as they improve on the season and continue to just kind of run through everybody. 52-29, you look at the stats there, almost 500 yards of total offense. And one of the big things that I know we've looked at for Reedy all the way throughout the season is turnovers. There's a goose egg in that turnover bucket for Frisco Reedy, as they just don't turn the football over. They take care of the rock, and one of the reasons why they win football games, you talked about it, they could do it in a multitude of different ways, winning football games. But if you take care of the football, it makes things so much easier.
It does, no doubt about it, and that goes to good quarterbacking. You know, Foskey is one of the best quarterbacks in that 5A area, and that's the thing. I mean, you look at these elite programs, the Denton Ryans, the Allens, the Highland Parks, and this season the Louisvilles and the Duncanvilles, the teams that have had, look at South Lake Carroll, that have had really good years, and why they're undefeated, a lot of them, is because they don't turn the football over and they don't beat themselves.
Yeah, it's huge. And when you combine that with a team that plays incredible defense and they're able to not only run the ball, but they're able to throw the ball, they can just beat you in a multitude of ways. And like Zach said, they can play in any style of game you want. It doesn't matter if you want it to be a barn burner or you want it to be 17-13. They can win any of those games. And Reedy's going to be an absolute nightmare for a lot of these teams going forward. They're not a matchup anybody wants to see right now.
No, not a matchup that anybody wants to see. Corsicana and Centennial will play tonight. The winner of that one will face Reedy.
Those are two solid teams, too.
They're two good teams.
That'll be a prediction game as well. We'll get back to that one later.
Hey, there you go. We'll talk about that one here in a little bit as well. Another game at the Ford Center tonight. Oh, look, we've already got it up. Well, hey, let's talk about it while we're here. 9-2 Corsicana, 10-1 Burleson Centennial, and it's another home game for Burleson. They were played at home last week when they were able to, let's just say, they took Kimball to the woodshed. 70-12 was that final score. And then they turn around and they face a Corsicana team that had a challenge in Lake Dallas, but were able to put up 53 points in a 53-31 win over Lake Dallas in that bi-district matchup to get to where they are. This is a Burleson Centennial team that's kind of flown under the radar a little bit throughout the North Texas area. Maybe it's because they're in 5A Division II. Maybe it's because they're just a little bit south of Fort Worth, but I know this is a team that really could put up some massive numbers. We saw it last week, 70 points on the board. This is going to be a good football game later today.
And it's two teams that you look at, yeah, they can score points, but they're not going to do it through the air. They're two run-heavy teams, and it's a rematch game. There's several rematch games, not only from previous playoff years, but regular season meetings. These teams met in week one. It was a 28-26 Burleson Centennial victory. So if it's anything like the first meeting, we'll be in for a treat.
That will be a lot of fun to watch. Another Ford Center game on the way tonight as well that we'll be able to check in on the overtime show. Kicking off at 7:30, Coach Jason Todd's South Oak Cliff Golden Bears will face the Frisco Raccoons in a good matchup just across the hallway from us. We may have to go over there a little bit later as we look at the preview of that game now. 50 points per game for South Oak Cliff compared to only 5 points allowed. That South Oak Cliff team has been led by Coach Todd. They have just dismantled the competition throughout the course of the 2018 season. And Frisco, on the other hand, has been hot as of late. This should be a good football game, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Frisco's coming in playing the best football they have been all season, which is the most that you can say for them right now coming into this game against Sock, because Sock right now is, and really as they've been all season, they've been a dominant football team. And you see their offense is really, really good too. We always talk about their defense, but their offense can do plenty. And I think Frisco's offense might be, thinking to themselves, how the heck are we going to do anything against this Sock defense that is vicious at all levels? The linebackers, in the secondary. I know my player to watch a few weeks ago, DeAndre Dansby. That dude's an absolute animal. They have those guys all over the board defensively. Hopefully Frisco can keep it a game, but I would imagine Sock probably runs away with it.
Yeah, I tend to lean that way as well. I mean, Frisco, we saw them beat a pretty good Lovejoy team a couple of weeks ago, a game they had to have to get into the playoffs. They can score some points, and on defense, they're able to force some turnovers that day.
Yeah.
And for South Oak Cliff, I just think their team speed and how good they are on defense, nobody really can understand that on film until you're on the field with them and you realize, holy moly, these guys are good.
Yeah.
South Oak Cliff, I picked them to win state in 5A. I might have gone out on a limb because there's some big football matches they're going to have to, especially today against Frisco. That's no walk in the park, but there's some big teams waiting down the line for them.
And one of those teams, Aledo, who's already advanced into the regional round, and we'll take a look at their game real quickly here between Aledo and Lovejoy, and this really wasn't even a contest because automatically Aledo just got off to a hot start, really got out of the gates early and just dismantled a pretty good Lovejoy team, and that's unfortunate. We like Lovejoy a lot. We talked about them quite a bit throughout the season as maybe an underdog team, but whenever you go up against Aledo, there's not a whole lot you can do. 62-28 was the final score as we look at some of the highlights from this ball game, but overall, man, the Bearcats are the real deal, Zach.
Yeah, they are outstanding, and I got to watch a lot of this one, and Chase McClellan, you just saw some touchdown runs here. He was a man amongst boys. He looks, there's players that you watch at this level and they just make it look easy. It doesn't even look like they're running that fast, yet they're finding a way to just outrun everybody. This is a player. He had 308 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's committed to Oklahoma. It seems like all the major guys in this area are going to OU. They're doing an excellent job of recruiting the DFW area. But this offense, they just execute perfectly. And they're big play guys. We talked about McClellan. Jake Bishop at quarterback, 143 yards today. Had 2 touchdowns passing. Also had a rushing score. The Bishop brothers have grown up. I believe he's the 3rd Bishop brother going through this Aledo team. They've all got state championships to their name. He's probably well on his way to winning another one. It would not surprise me at all. And then you've got sophomore wide receiver JoJo Earl. That's a name to remember. I mean, we've talked a lot about Trajan Bridges. We talked earlier about Jackson Smith and Jiba. Theo Weiss. There's a lot of great receivers in the DFW area. This isn't the next guy in line. JoJo Earl today, 5 catches, 83 yards, a touchdown. You can line him up inside. You can line him up outside. He's outstanding. And what they were able to do against a very good Lovejoy team with Carson Collins at quarterback, guys like Bo Love and Nelly, who had an outstanding touchdown catch. You see it right there. Whoop! One of the plays of the day. That touchdown catch right there by Bo Love and Nelly. Without a doubt, one of our plays of the day here on Friday Night Stars. Even though it was in a losing effort, he was great today. 9 catches, 154 yards, and a touchdown. Aledo just finds a way to make it look effortless. This team is a well-oiled machine. And they execute that offense. We've talked a lot about Highland Park and maybe there's similarities to, say, New England Patriots. I think Aledo runs very similar offense. They like to kind of get the balls to their players, quick strike passing in space, let them make yak yards, and their offensive line, they do a great job of getting out in space, hat-on-a-hat football, and blocking. Their execution's flawless, and I'm really hoping we get the Aledo South Oak Cliff matchup we've been waiting for.
We need
it. Let's look at the bracket throughout that Region 2 of 5A Division 2. We skipped down here because of that final that just went or just ended up, and it says Midlothian 52-29. Those scores are switched, actually, as Frisco Reedy moves on. However, you look at the top of the bracket there, Aledo and Lovejoy, that game's over with. Aledo dismantles Lovejoy, but South Oak Cliff and Aledo next week, and then a potential between Burleson Centennial and Frisco Reedy. Wow.
I know.
Look at those 2 games.
Shaping up for a huge
and then if Aledo
next couple of weeks.
or I don't even care. Aledo or South Oak Cliff with Reedy in that bottom half of the bracket to find out who wins Region 2 at this level, that's worth the price of admission 10 times usually, because those are the 3 teams that I would look at and say, hey, they have a legitimate shot, and I would pick them as favorites to run through 5A Division 2. Now, there are a lot of good teams. I mean, there's Justin Northwest, of course.
Of course.
Got to talk about your alma mater, Eric, and then you've got other teams like Netherland, A&M Consolidated, Fort Bend Marshall on the other side of the bracket, just really a bunch of good teams all the way throughout it. But I think those are 3 teams that are favorites to try and make a run and get deep into the playoffs and potentially win a state championship at that level. But if the football gods are a thing, and we've already talked about them all year long, South Oak Cliff, Aledo next week will be a barn burner.
We'll wait and see what happens with South Oak Cliff. They've obviously got a task ahead of themselves.
And Frisco's a good team.
And the Raccoons can come out there and surprise
They've been hot
anybody.
too.
But that sock defense, baby. We'll get into a possible matchup with them.
We've all been
Aledo.
surprised by a Raccoon at least once or twice in our lives, and it could be Reedy's night.
Come back for the overtime, 9-11. We'll dissect that potential Aledo sock matchup a little more.
Hey, I like the plug. 9-11. We will be back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. Let's go into 6A Division 2. Lots of good games to look at throughout this division as well. We'll start off with Region 1 for 6A Division 2. Up at the top, you've got Midland Lee and Haltom. Hebron defeats J.J. Pierce. That game going final, not very far from where we are now on the timeline. That game just going final, and 57-35. Those scores also reversed as Hebron does move on. The slipper doesn't fit either for J.J. Pierce, who knocked off Cedar Hill last Friday. But now you look at Hebron in that 3rd round. Haltom, Midland Lee, that's going to be a good football game. Haltom definitely favored there. But you got to give credit to the Hebron Hawks in the way that they've been able to kind of turn things around. Looked like earlier that they had a chance to maybe not even get into the playoffs. Well, they have gotten into the playoffs, and now they're 3 rounds deep. Another good run for the Hebron team.
Yeah, let's dive into that Hebron J.J. Pierce game. And I'll tell you, there was no greater upset in the world of Texas high school football than last week when you had J.J. Pierce knocking off Cedar Hill. And I think coming into this week, that was the calling card for every team that was underrated or underappreciated. Looked like they've got an uphill battle for the Rockwalls of the world against Allen tonight, for the Friscos against South Oak Cliff. any of the teams that are the favorites, the underdogs are saying, why not us? Did you see what Richardson Pierce did? Well, today it was all about the Hebron Hawks, and it was all about Carson Collins at quarterback. Carson Collins, 6 total touchdowns, boys. 4 rushing, 2 passing. Guess who the 2 passing touchdowns went to?
Oh, Bridges?
Yeah, a little guy by the name of Trajan Bridges.
Oh, just that guy?
It's pretty darn good. 2 receiving touchdowns. So we've talked about the outstanding playmakers that Hebron's got all over the field. Carson Collins, I mean, they've got one of the better coaches with Coach Brazel in the area. They took it to a J.J. Pierce team, but what was impressive for me was their defense. Game was really close. It was 38-35 early in the fourth quarter. Both teams trading scores. Their defense takes over in the fourth. Hebron got a pick 6 and a sack fumble returned for a touchdown. That's what sealed the victory for them today. So a complete team win for the Hebron Hawks here in the area round.
Yeah, you look at the total yardage here, 403 yards on the ground. Did all 171 yards go to Trajan Bridges? Probably
Roughly.
a good chance of it, right? He probably had an incredible.
Yeah, he had 101 yards and 2 touchdowns.
A nice chunk, yeah.
A great chunk of the entire passing game for Hebron, but that's all you got to do to get the job done. J.J. Pierce, not a bad team. We saw what they were able to do shutting down Cedar Hill last week, and then Hebron's able to turn around and say, hey, forget about that. We're facing J.J. Pierce this week, not last week, and they were able to do so, reel things in, and make a pretty good run in the playoffs here.
Yeah, and Hebron, again, you mentioned it. Shout out to Diego Johnson and William White. Those are the 2 defensive players that had the 2 defensive scores to really put the nail in the coffin and allow Hebron to move on. And you mentioned it, Carson Harris, this dude doing it, being able to do it on the ground. Big play capabilities, too. I know we talk about that with Isaiah Broadway and obviously with Trajan Bridges. But Carson Harris, man, this dude, he had a 63-yard touchdown run. He has big play capability as well. And if Hebron gets going offensively, this thing could be in trouble because we know the playmakers they have. They've been a little up and down this season, but they're feeling themselves today, that's for sure.
You're right. Consistency's been the issue with Hebron, but now they've got back-to-back wins together, and they're playing their best football here around Thanksgiving, and that's all you can ask for as a coach for your football team right now.
Yeah, and you look at who they're going to play in that next round. They've got a date with potentially the Haltom Buffaloes. Let's look at that.
That's a hot date.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Let's look at that Midland Lee versus Haltom matchup. The Rebels have a lot on their plate. Yeah, they're 9-2, but man, Haltom last week squeaked by a good Arlington Bowie team, 47-41. That was a chance that Haltom gets upset in the first round of the playoffs, much like Cedar Hill did to that J.J. Pierce team. But now Haltom, if they can just do their job, they should have a pretty easy win here against Midland Lee. Don't want to discount Midland Lee. That's a good football team. But at the same time, Haltom is a team that could take advantage of this at ACU tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I think with the success that Haltom's had this year, the undefeated record, how great Michael Black's been, we kind of just assume Haltom's going to go in. And like last week, we just assume, all right, Haltom's going to take care of business.
Yeah.
This is a Haltom program that hasn't really experienced a ton of playoff success. This kind of stuff is pretty new to Haltom. So while they've probably got the best team maybe they've ever had in their history, being in the area around it isn't anything new for Midland Lee.
Yeah.
The moment's not going to be too big for Midland Lee. Haltom needs to come out and really start a lot quicker than they did last week, because I don't know if they'll be able to make that kind of second-half comeback that they were able to do a week ago against this Midland Lee bunch.
And this is a banged-up Haltom team regardless. San Angelo Central, that was a district championship game on the road in San Angelo. Then you travel to play Arlington Bowie. We talked about how close that game was. And now you go all the way out to ACU, and you have to play against a very good Midland Lee team. I know the stats there that tells a story, because Michael Black and the Haltom Buffaloes are the favorites in this football game, as they should be. 114 completions for over almost 2,000 yards and 22 touchdowns for Michael Black on the season. But at the same time, if you're not careful, Haltom could end up on the losing side of things pretty quickly.
And Midland Lee put up 70 points last week. So,
yes.
I mean, it's not that they're incapable of scoring. 70 points, wow, that I don't care who you're playing. In the playoffs, you put up 70 points. That's impressive. Haltom cannot overlook this game, especially with the way they come out last week. If they come out in this game and they're overconfident and they're overlooking it, then that's a huge problem, because it's not like they dominated last week and they can just start looking ahead like you feel like a team like maybe South Oak Cliff can do or something like that. Haltom needs to get things going right now, because you don't want to barely scrape by in this one. Then you come into next week against a Studley team and you're going to be really, really searching.
Yeah, you're exactly right. If you don't get off to a quick start, things could get dangerous very, very quickly. A team that is very dangerous, the Arlington Colts. But before we preview their matchup at the bottom half of Region 1 at the 6A Division 2 ranks, I do want to give a quick update. We'll leave that graphic up on the screen for now as you get a chance to look at the two teams and the comparatives there. But Arlington Lamar just went for it on 4th and 6, scored a go-ahead 29-yard touchdown with just under 4 minutes left to take a 42-35 lead over Odessa Permian. They then picked off one of the first plays on that next drive, and then the next play, they scored on a 58-yard run. So Arlington Lamar up by 14 with 49-35 being the score against Odessa Permian. Now back to Arlington, talking about the Arlington Colts. Coach Peach has done an incredible job this season, but a tough task coming up against DeSoto here out of Amarillo. This game being played in Wichita Falls. This should be a lot of fun to watch. Jahari Rogers and company for that Arlington Colts team, they're going to have to put up some points here to try and get into that third round.
Yeah, I mean, Jahari Rogers, a Landry Award finalist. We know all about him.
As he should be.
He is an outstanding player, and his ability this year to really put the team on his back. I mean, his numbers have been awesome, and he's got a great receiver on the outside in Trey Cleveland, who is one of the best in the state, maybe more of the underrated players in this state. So for Jahari Rogers and Arlington, they're a complete football team. We know they're going to be able to put up a lot of numbers. Defensively, I think if there's one knock, last week against Weatherford, they got a 49-16 win. Jahari Rogers, 4 touchdowns in that game. Their offense strikes so quickly. They can go ahead. It doesn't matter if they're down multiple scores. They're a team that can go ahead and rally. We talked about Holtham if they were to fall behind. Arlington's a team, if Toscosa comes out early against them and gets a lead, I don't think Arlington's going to go ahead and start freaking out by any means. But Weatherford did have some long, grinding touchdown drives against them in their 2 scores. Toscosa is a team that they're going to come out, they're going to run that flex bone led by running back King DeRue. And that's a squad that, I'll tell you, that running game is one of the best in the entire area. I mean, in the entire state of Texas, really, but especially from Amarillo, where they're from. That could cause some problems for Arlington, a team that, you look at Bowie, you look at Lamar, a lot of the teams that they've played within their district, they're more of a spread it out kind of team, but you get a team that's going to come in here, run that flex bone, maybe some different offensive looks, a challenge for that Colt defense.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge indeed, but whoever ends up winning this football game has a challenge awaiting them as well. Let's look at the bottom half of that bracket. Denton Geyer versus Mansfield Lakeridge. Lakeridge with a big-time win last week over Lake Highlands, 35-35. That game was not as close as that score actually says it was at the end because Lakeridge dominated that football game. And talk about dominating. Geyer 52-21 over Flower Mound last week, a Flower Mound team who we've talked about had not been in the playoffs since 2010, and now you look at Denton Geyer as a team that, they're starting to get hot again after losing those final 2 games of the regular season, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with if they can get past Mansfield Lakeridge. Either one of these teams is going to have a good shot at playing Arlington in those regional semifinals and a chance to win the region, whether or not they go up against Haltom, Hebron, Midland Lee, whoever it may be coming out of the top side of that bracket.
And this is one of my more, maybe it is my most anticipated game of this entire weekend. This is what makes the area round so great.
Yeah.
Geyer and Lakeridge, and these are teams that, this is the 3rd straight year they're actually going to play. They've played each other the last 2 years in non-district, and Coach Walsh likes that a lot. He said that they're not seeing strangers. Last week when they played Flower Mound, that team was a stranger. He says the unknown is scary, and there's not a whole lot of unknown right here. He actually compared Chandler Rogers, the quarterback of Mansfield Lakeridge, to some of the guys that they've had come through Denton Geyer, referring to Gerard Hurd, who's now a wide receiver at Texas, but won a couple of state championships with him at Geyer at 4A, and then Sean Robinson, who a lot of people forget. Before Sean Robinson transferred to DeSoto his senior year, his freshman to junior season, he was playing for John Walsh and the Denton Geyer Wildcats, and they went on the road. Well, they played at a neutral site in 2015, the last time that Geyer went ahead to the regional semifinal, and they beat a South Lake Carroll team that they were not expected to defeat. This is a game I think maybe a lot of people might look at Mansfield Lakeridge, winners of the District of Doom, District 7, 6A. You look at Chandler Rogers, some of the outstanding numbers that he's put up this year, accounted for 2,735 total yards, 29 total touchdowns. He had 5 touchdowns in their win over Lake Highlands in the bi-district round. Outstanding player. They might look at Lakeridge and say, this is too much. I mean, I don't think Geyer, who's been inconsistent. Geyer did drop their final 2 games heading into the playoffs, But to come back, coming off their best offensive performance against a really good Flower Mound team, and that Geyer defense has really, really stepped up. We talk a lot about Cadrick Cobbs, Eli Stowers, that offense, that rushing attack for Geyer. Their defense has only given up 18 points per game in their last 9, led by safety Brent Jackson, who leads the team in tackles. So that's something to watch for. I think other than Lakeridge, obviously battle-tested coming out of that District 7-6A, but this is a game for Geyer. Don't overlook them. I think that they could win this one.
Yeah, very well could.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to Geyer's offense and how they perform. You talked about the defense. The defense pretty much shows up every single week. The question is with the young quarterback and Eli Stowers and that running game, if it works, this team is one of the better ones in the area. When they're clicking on all cylinders, they went through that 3 or 4 game stretch during the season where they were just absolutely dominant, and then they tailed off. And part of that's to do with generally a young team and especially a young quarterback. But if that offense is clicking and Stowers and that running game and Cobbs and things like that, this could be one of those games that really comes down. We could be in for an epic battle.
I think it will be. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think this is going to be a very fun game. It's a Saturday kickoff. I think at 2 o'clock it's set up there. Lakeridge, Geyer, get your tickets now.
Like the plug there at the end. Get the tickets now. We don't sell tickets here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. I will tell you that.
But you can come back and tune in, and we'll talk about it
that
next
game's
week.
At Pennington.
9 to 11. That's a good spot for a football game as well. We're going to take a quick break here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars. When we come back, we'll start up hour number 2 here from the Star in Frisco. We'll look through Division 2, Region 2 at the 6A level and look through some of the 5A Division 1 and other scores from throughout the area. Do want to give you one final score real quickly. It's final. Arlington Lamar knocks off Odessa Permian 49-35, the final
Dawson,
score.
Baby!
Jack Dawson continues. They fight to live another day. The Vikings beat Odessa Permian. We'll be back in a minute here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
No mojo today.
Works up my thirst for an ice cold Pepsi Cola, like getting buckets. Whether I'm breaking ankles or breaking hearts.
Hey, Drew.
It always brings the refreshment, and I've been drinking it a long time.
Drew, how old are you anyway?
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Uncle Drew, in theaters, June 29th. Future tastes good.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called FanTag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. FanTag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the FanTag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try FanTag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in-store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
You want to bring the heat? Prove it. With carbs to help fuel muscles. And electrolytes to help replace what you lose in sweat. Studied, tested, proven. Nothing beats Gatorade.
On a forbidden Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Moan, we can't.
But Julia,
We're rivals.
I can love you and still hate your overrated school.
We have 2 different defensive philosophies. You're a base 4-3 cover 2, and I'm an
aggressive 3-4 with press coverage. I get it, but we both love Dr. Pepper.
Oh, Ramon.
Touchdown, State!
Yes! In your face!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
In Frisco, as we are back here on Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Home of the first place Dallas Cowboys.
Got to throw that out there. Big win yesterday over the Washington Redskins.
NFC Championship preview Thursday night.
I think so.
AT&T Stadium.
Saints coming to town.
Let's not get carried
Amari,
away.
Dak, Zeke, the new triplets.
Beautiful.
I don't know. Amari did have an unbelievable game, and
Had
if
a
he's
great
able to play that
game.
way, then the Cowboys might be a little bit more dangerous with that defense.
Well put.
A defense is special. We'll talk about NFL off air, but on air, we've got Whataburger Friday Night Stars, hour number 2. Glad you're with us, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or Vimeo.
You nailed it.
I got it that time.
Good for you, dude.
We've also got it on Instagram, not live, but follow us on Instagram at Friday Night Stars _ at the end there. But man, what an unbelievable week of Texas high school football playoffs from around the North Texas area. We've gone through 6A Division 1, 5A Division 2 for the most part, and 6A Division 2, at least the top half of the bracket for Region 1. Let's go into 6A Division 2, Region 2, as we get set to look at Longview versus Prosper up at the top of the screen. But, man, there is a lot of good matchups on the way. Vandergrift, Klein Collins, that's out of the area. But, man, that's a barn burner as well, kicking off tomorrow. That Prosper Longview game is also tomorrow at the Star. It says Friday up there, but it's a tomorrow game. And then Cypress Ranch and Spring Westfield.
I love
on
the tomorrow
Saturday.
games.
Hey, just get over it and go with it. Mesquite Horn, though,
love
after
it. I'm embracing
upsetting Temple in round number 1, are now looking for the upset of Wiley in round number 2. That's Mesquite Horn team that Heckma Harrison, who's not here today, picked to beat Allen in week 1, then started 0-7. Sorry, I got to laugh a little bit at that.
It's incredible that he did
But
that.
Mesquite Horn, that's a good football team at 3-7. They squeaked their way into the playoffs.
They only lost 70% of their games.
And then they made it to the playoffs.
Incredible.
We'll talk about that game here in a little bit. But first, let's preview Prosper versus Longview. And guys, this might be, Zach, you said that Geyer game might have been your best, most anticipated matchup of the entire week. I think this one might be my most anticipated matchup.
Okay,
Longview
sell
versus
me.
Prosper at the Ford Center, at the Star. Longview, a team that a lot of people coming out of East Texas think can win the state championship or have picked them to win the state championship, a.k.a. myself,
Same
who
here.
has picked them to win the state championship.
We are geniuses.
We're on the same page here. Well, we'll be geniuses if they can take care of Prosper, and we might have to talk to Brian Sutcliffe about this a little bit later, but 9-2 Prosper coming out of that district, 9-6A, that of course houses the Allen Eagles. That's a Prosper team that isn't scared of anybody. And now you look on the other side, and if there is another team other than Allen to be scared of, it might be Longview and the Lobos. And now they meet up at the brilliant Star in Frisco, just down the hall from where we stand at the moment. Does that sell you enough with a 7 o'clock primetime kick on Saturday night, Zach?
I think it's a fascinating matchup.
Consider me sold.
I like the Prosper team a lot. I just think Longview's way better, man. I think this is going to be like when Prosper played Allen. I think Longview's about to flex that muscle, and Prosper can't hang.
Wow. No love for Prosper. No love for Wayne Anderson.
I love Wayne Anderson.
What about the Shoemaker himself?
And Keegan Shoemaker's playing great, and they've got some offensive firepower.
Justin Clark.
It's less of a knock on Prosper and mainly just how good I think Longview is. I think the Lobos are just an outstanding football team, and I think Prosper, them jumping from 5A to 6A, the success they've had a great year. I think they've got the ability to score some points. I just don't think it's going to be enough to knock off Longview.
Listen, I hear you, and Longview's run defense has been stellar this year. So Wayne Anderson and company, if Prosper is going to be able to win this game, they're going to have a huge advantage if they're going to be able to run the football. Yeah. And the Lobos have stopped the run so well all year, so it's probably going to end up being the ball's in Shoemaker's hand, and can he do it? Longview's going to be a really, really tough matchup, but they should be fun. I have more confidence in Prosper than I think Zach does, but this is definitely a tough matchup for Prosper, no question.
Well, looking at both teams and the defenses that they both possess, do you still expect these offenses, who have also put up points for most of the entire season, to still put points up on the board? Or is this going to be a defensive struggle?
That's a fair question. I guess that's what it really comes down to. I don't have a lot of confidence in Prosper's defense. When we've seen Prosper play these teams where they're against another high-octane offense, that offense has had success. Whether it was against Allen, whether it was against Plano East, even though that was a game that they were able to win, or if it was against Plano, who almost came back and got that victory in the season finale against Prosper. I don't think they're going to be able to slow down the Lobo offense. I think Longview's D has a better chance to slow down Prosper's offense and force a couple turnovers.
Yeah, and Longview's quarterback, Haynes King Jr., this dude is a stud. 2,600 yards through the air this year, and that doesn't even include the few hundred yards he has on the ground. And he's got weaponry galore. Camden Perry, this dude, 1,300 yards receiving, 16 touchdowns, and he's got multiple other guys he can get it to. Longview is a stellar team. Prosper is going to have to play a near-perfect game, but they do have the weapons to potentially make this a close, high-scoring game.
Longview.
Can I just interject here really quickly?
Of course you can.
And this doesn't have anything to do with this region, but it does have to do with a game that we've already talked about.
But it's football, right?
And it's football.
Nice.
It's football, man. It happens to do with Rockwall and Allen.
Oh, no.
And we talked about if Rockwall could get up early, that's the key to beating Allen for them.
It always has been.
It might have been the first play of the game.
Holy.
81 yards.
No.
Jacob Clark to Jackson Smith and Jiba.
Oh, my God.
And look, guys in the back, we don't need a graphic for this. This is going to be fine. We just want to mention this. It's just 7-0. Rockwall.
Holy
already
smokes.
up on Allen. They might have a chance in this one. Let's get right back to it. Mesquite, Horn, and Wiley, baby.
The Orange Jackets, man.
Yeah,
Who'd thunk it?
Let's look at this Wiley Mesquite Horn game. Definitely a good tidbit. Glad you talked about that, because Rockwall, off to a quick start, could make something happen there. But how about Mesquite Horn, the team that Heckma picked to beat Allen early in the season? Started 0-7. We talked about them at length, and the fact that that's not your usual 0-7 team. Well, they're looking like that right now. 35-24 the score is. That one is in the middle of the second half at Mesquite Memorial Stadium. And man, you look at the 355 yards of total offense. It's been a balanced attack from the Jags, and that's another game where you look at Wiley and the Pirates. That's a good Wiley Pirates team that took care of McKinney last week, 38-28. But Mesquite Horn just able to put points up on the board and continue to be methodical on that offensive side of the football.
Yeah, I think for Wiley, their defense had been a lot better than this. And for Mesquite Horn, they're finally looking like the team we thought that they should have looked like.
Hello, Jermaine Givens.
Yeah, Jermaine Givens, a guy who was a 40-touchdown passer a year ago. Really,
welcome back, bro.
Really was struggling the majority of this year. Comes back, all of a sudden it's playoff time. I'm going to flip that switch. Now, Jermaine Givens, 186 yards and a touchdown so far through the air, at a $118 and 2 scores on the ground. And look, Wiley offensively, Rashad Dixon's having a solid performance. He's got over 200 yards passing and a touchdown. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And Donovan Ollie, who's one of the more unheralded big-time receivers from the DFW, 7 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. So Wiley's big playmakers, Ollie and Rashad Dixon, have come to play. Their defense has just not found a way to slow down Jermaine Givens in this Jaguar offense.
Listen, Jermaine Givens on fire today. He's been on fire the last couple of weeks.
The last month of the season, right?
Last week, he had 504 yards of offense.
Unreal.
293 through the air, 3 touchdowns, 211 on the ground, 1 touchdown. The dude is a video game player, and he's playing lights out right now. Mesquite Horn, one of the hottest teams. It's so funny because they were 3-7, making it to the playoffs. Now they're one of the hottest teams, and it's much thanks to Jermaine.
Well, look at the district that they worked their way out of. You look at District 11, 6A. Who else is in that district? You've got Longview. Longview is one of the best teams in the entire state.
Sure, yep.
Of course, you've got other teams like Mesquite. I know Mesquite and the Skeeters got knocked off by Waco Midway in that first round. And then you've got Rockwall.
Yeah.
You mentioned this play a second ago. I've got the play ready and up to go.
We got the play?
We've got the play. This is a look at the opening score for Rockwall and the Yellow Jackets from Garland. Look at this. Jacob Clark, back to pass, looks to his right, and then it's just off to
mid-tunnel screen.
The races.
Look at that.
There it is.
Bye-bye. That's an Ohio State Buckeye right there.
Oh, they got a fast guy.
Get
Holy
off me.
smokes. Who was that? He's got some speed, but wow, dude, Rockwall coming to play. And here's the thing, Allen, they don't know how to play outside of their stadium. I think that's a huge thing right now.
Holy cow, Eric, that's a brilliant point. Have they played a road game yet this year?
This is their first time out of Allen Stadium since 2012.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since Allen's been out of their stadium, but it did not take a long time for the Allen Eagles to strike back. Grant Tisdale on a 25-yard touchdown run.
Oh, I forgot about that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
It's tied up.
Wait, they can score on offense too?
Yes, they can score on offense as well.
Man.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It's 7-7, so that score.
Rockwall's in trouble, man.
Now, that's awesome. I hope
that's
that
how
they just
quick
keep,
it is.
Just ping-pong football. Let's just keep trading scores. This one should be 109-90 by the time it's over.
Okay, I'm looking at the last time that Allen played outside of Allen Eagle Stadium, and you have to go all the way back to
1964.
To the state championship.
My grandfather played in that game.
Nope.
Actually, no, his dad played in that game.
McKinney and the Lions played on the road, so Allen Eagles played at McKinney's Stadium in week 5 of the season. That's the last time the Allen Eagles have left Eagle Stadium.
What a dream come true. And it wasn't like they were on the road the first 5 games of the year either.
No, they went to the new brand new McKinney ISD Stadium. So they've got, hey, we got to live up to this expectation. We've got a fancy schmancy stadium that's, multi-million dollars. McKinney, you built one. All right, we'll go play there. We'll show face there.
Just a wild.
It matches our high standard.
They feel comfortable at AT&T Stadium, maybe here at the Star, but not in whatever Garland practice field they're at right now.
Hey, guess what?
Garland's a good stadium
you guys
as well.
Want to know something funny?
Oh, no.
Rockwall scored. It's now 14-7.
We got fireworks in Garland. Holy smokes.
Area round high school football action. Rockwall and Allen putting on a show.
Was it Jacob Clark once again through the air?
It was a touchdown run this time.
Oh,
so, hey, Rockwall balanced attack. That's what we said.
Multiple ways, baby. Zach Henry.
That has a making of being an all-time classic.
I hope it is.
Continues at this rate.
And again, come on back for the overtime.
So would it be 13-7 right now, or was the PAT good?
14-7.
14-7. Okay, well, there you go. So, yeah, come back for the overtime. We'll have all the highlights, and we'll break that game down bit by bit. Guys, let's go into 5A Division I and talk some things through here as we get set for there are a lot of finals, actually, in this bracket that we got to go over. Let's start at 5A Division I, Region 1, Birdville and Abilene Cooper. That's a Birdville team that really took care of business, 49-14 as they move on into the third round. Amarillo, Caprock, and Grapevine, that game also continuing at the moment. Then you've also got Lubbock, Coronado, Azle. That's a good Lubbock Coronado team knocking off a very good Azle team. A little bit of an upset there, but Lubbock Coronado, a team that you look at Denton Ryan down at the bottom there. If they can get past El Paso Deval, then, man, That's going to be a good matchup. Lubbock Coronado and Denton Ryan.
Yeah, and just a note on that Coronado-Azle game. Azle up a lot of that one. Coronado came on back. Azle a chance to win it on a game-ending field goal. It gets blocked, returned for a touchdown by Coronado.
Where's Caden Davis when you need him, huh?
Yeah, where is Caden Davis? He is also sitting on the couch, unfortunately.
Thanks to the Dragons.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because if Azle would have won that game, we could have had ourselves an all-area, potentially, region right here, which would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Because if Grapevine can beat Caprock, I feel confident Ryan gets the dub tomorrow. Man, that would have been dope. But Birdville gets the win, and you talk about Stone Earl and Ladarius Mixon, 2 juniors. These guys are incredible. That Birdville offense puts up almost 50 points and almost 500 yards. But Mixon and Earl, these 2 guys are best friends. They have a fantastic story. You could actually read it in the Dallas Morning News about how Ladarius Mixon is actually about to have to, it's some sort of foster situation that Stone Earl's family brought him in. They've been best friends ever since, and they're the dynamic duo for Birdville right now, and they're hitting on all cylinders. That's a Birdville coaching staff that's incredibly experienced in this area, and that's a good Birdville football team.
And you can also look at Birdville as just a community that's starting to rally around a team that a lot of people didn't have this high of expectations for going into the season. If you were outside of that area, unless you went to Birdville or knew about Birdville or were in the same district as Birdville, you didn't necessarily think they were going to be as good as they are this season, but they've done more than that, and they've exceeded those expectations, gotten to a chance to where they're in the 3rd round of the playoffs and have a chance to go even deeper and play against a Denton Ryan or continue forward and try and win a state championship.
And their 2 best players are juniors.
Yes.
Earl and Mixon.
Returning.
At quarterback, running back. I mean, that is beautiful. It's a great time to be a Birdville fan or player.
And a shout out to really all the Birdville fans. They really blow us up on social media. You can follow us at Friday_stars and keep up with that as well. But they have been all over the place. So if you're a Birdville fan watching this broadcast, thank you for that, because we have been keeping up with the Hawks and will continue to do that as they get closer to really the ultimate goal of keeping that postseason alive. Let's look at Amarillo, Caprock, and Grapevine. This game kicking off at 7 o'clock tonight at Sweetwater's Mustang Bowl. That's just a classic stadium for a nice classic matchup. Grapevine, one of the oldest schools in the entire DFW area. And then you've got Amarillo Caprock. Just look at the logo. I mean, the logo itself is absolutely awesome and a retro-like logo, but this is a Grapevine team that has just been firing on all cylinders lately, coming out of District 4 5A, and I mean, that's a team that's dangerous right now. If you're Amarillo Caprock, I know you're kind of off in West Texas, maybe not paying a ton of attention to what this Grapevine team's been doing this year, but now you look up and you're saying, uh-oh, what do we got to do to stop the Mustangs?
And how about that? You talk about a tough district. Those were 3 top-heavy teams with Ryan, Birdville, and Grapevine, all now in the same region, all out of the same district. And really, Ryan, we anticipated Grapevine to maybe be able to score with Ryan, and Ryan smacked them pretty good. But they've bounced back very nicely. Their last 2 games, their defense has stepped up. They've only allowed 14 points combined in those 2, and their quarterback, Cade Rhodes. I mean, he has been awesome. 437 yards, 3 touchdowns in their win over to Crowley in the bi-district round. He finished 2nd in the 5A area amongst all passers. So I think Cade Rhodes makes the difference in this one for Grapevine. But you look at Amarillo Caprock. They got a 42-17 win over El Paso Eastlake. They've won 4 in a row, and they've got a very experienced team that's back from a year ago, led by dual-threat junior quarterback Tariq Williams, who is an electric kind of football player. So I might lean Grapevine in this one. This is a prediction game. We'll go ahead and give our official picks a little bit later. But an Amarillo Caprock team that should also – this one could be an explosive, high-scoring game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw these 2 teams put up some numbers. Another game that we could see being a big-time number-type game is El Paso, Deval, and Denton Ryan. And we look at Denton Ryan as really the top team out of this region, out of that 4-5A district in Division I, and they haven't necessarily done anything to change our minds in that fact because they've been so dominant and they've been able to work their way through it. They were able to knock off Fort Worth Brewer last week, 64-24, and that's a decent Brewer team that they took down in the Brewer Bears. But now they look up and they've got Duval on the other side, and that's going to be a good game in Midland, guys.
Yeah, and look, forcing 4 turnovers last week in the bi-district game. Ryan just does what they do on defense. One of the best, arguably the best in the 5A area. And then Amani Bailey and company on the offensive side. We've talked a lot about Seth Hennigan and the situation at quarterback.
We love all the
for Denton Ryan. We do. We love Ian. We love
Coach.
We love Coach Hennigan. We love them all. But Seth Hennigan,
special place in our heart.
Quietly, 20 touchdown passes to only 1 interception this year. I mean, as much grief and maybe a little bit of uncertainty that the fan base or Ryan fans have had, how do we move on from Spencer Sanders, who's now at Oklahoma State? Seth Hennigan's done a pretty good job. And then when you add in Drew Sanders, who's a great dual both sides of the football, best linebacker maybe in the state. He'd probably be the best tight end in the state if he played there at a regular basis. He's the guy that'll come in and be kind of a wildcat quarterback. And they've just got athletes. Billy Bowman Jr., a guy that does it on both sides of the football, as well as Demarion Robertson. They've just got guys all over the football field. They're favored big in this game. I'd be shocked. I mean, this would be, to me, a greater upset than J.J. Pearson Cedar Hill.
I would agree.
If they were to lose this football game to the Conquistadors.
Yeah, I would agree completely. And Denton Ryan, we
the Conquistadors.
Love the
Conquistadors.
Awesome.
It's absolutely awesome. Oh, are you now?
Can't help.
I thought you loved the Hennigans.
I do. But when you bring a Conquistador into the mix,
you can't switch things up.
The Conquistador trumps Hennigan.
Get out of here.
Okay, all right.
Heckma, where are you? Come back. Please replace Eric.
Oh, that's dirty.
Oh, man. Let's go down. And one of the matchups that we've been hoping for again in the postseason is Denton Ryan, Highland Park. Highland Park's awaiting in that Region 2 at the 5A Division 1 level. Let's look at the bracket here for that region. You look up at the top, Mansfield Timberview gets the job done against Magnolia West. Good win for Mansfield Timberview, finishing 4th in that 6A or 6-5A district. They get a 45-28 win over Magnolia West. Then you've got Highland Park College Station, 2 defending state champions on the way to play each other in Waco at Waco ISD Stadium. That is a magnificent matchup. John Tyler also playing Lancaster. Another good game out of those District 7 and 6 playing each other there. And then, of course, Lufkin, another state championship potential favorite, and Frisco Lone Star. That game is tomorrow night at McLean Stadium down in Waco. So Waco, a Saturday at 2 p.m. is the place to be for a high school football fan. But Mansfield Timberview getting the job done today and knocking off Magnolia West in that football game.
I think that's a bit of a surprise for you, Kyle. That was a game we talked about coming in, and you knew a little bit about Magnolia West, very high-powered offense. But Timberview, we've talked a lot about team success running the football. It was all about the ground game today for Mansfield Timberview. What they were able to do, they had 414 yards on the ground. You said they had 568 total yards. That is
incredible how they did that with 0 passing yards.
Well,
fantastic.
They didn't need to. Stacy Sneed, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns for Timberview in this one to knock off Magnolia West. In the running game, being able to keep that high-powered Magnolia West offense off the field really set the tone all day for Mansfield Timberview. And this is a team that's kind of gotten hot. They lost to Highland Park. They lost to Lancaster. They lost to some of the better teams in this district. We're kind of wondering, how good is this Timberview team? A big reason why a lot of people lean towards Magnolia West in this one, but they've gotten hot. That running game, spearheaded by Stacy Sneed and the sophomore Monte Dawson, they're doing some good things right now for Timberview.
Yeah, you talk about Dawson, 212 total yards, 2 touchdowns for him. Timberview, 46 total rushes for 414 yards, and that's what we saw on the stat line earlier. 568 total. Just a huge first quarter propelled Timberview to that lead whenever they racked up 250 of those yards in the first quarter. In the first quarter.
Wow,
Gotta love to see that. A 92-yard run on the final play of the first quarter from Dawson to make it 21-7. And that's really that set the tone
it's
early
a great
on.
day to be a Dawson.
Great day to
Jack
Dawson.
And then my boy here just going off. That's
Monte
incredible.
Dawson.
Monte.
Yeah. It's a good day to be a Dawson. Let's preview that College Station Highland Park matchup at the same stadium where Timberview defeated Magnolia West. Yeah, let's go there.
Let's go there.
The Cougars and the Scots, both teams winning a 5A state title last year. Highland Park was at the 5A Division I level. College Station, thanks to the realignment, now at that Division I level as well after winning their Division II state championship last year. This is a dogfight waiting to happen. 2 big teams size-wise, and then also 2 athletic teams on the outside. This is going to be a magnificent football game in Central Texas.
I'm thrilled to watch this one. I mean, you talked about it. If you can't get excited about 2 defending state champions meeting in the area around, then there's something wrong with you. High school football isn't for you. We've got a great matchup at quarterback between 2 guys that can get it done not only through the air, but on the ground as well. Dual threat guys, and Chandler Morris for Highland Park, 43 total touchdowns, just under 3,000 total yards on the air. And then Brandon Williams for College Station, 28 total touchdowns, just under 2,000 total yards for him. And we know about Finn Corwin, the favorite target for Chandler Morris.
Touchdown magnet.
All he does, right? 14 touchdowns on the year, over 1,000 yards receiving.
Taxes and a Finn Corwin touchdown, baby.
And Highland Park victories, apparently. They've won 26 in a row.
Yep.
They haven't lost the season opener last year at Rockwall, which was an overtime defeat to Rockwall. So a crazy, crazy matchup here so early between College Station and Highland Park.
Yeah, it is crazy to see this kind of matchup, and it's unfortunate that it is in the second round, but it also allows us to make sure we see this game, and we had this one circled really going into the week, but also a chance for a potential district rematch that we saw from last year, Petite and Highland Park. Let's look at that Lancaster matchup, which is at the bottom half of that bracket. John Tyler with a big-time win last week over Tomball, 43-17. Lancaster took care of Frisco Wakeland, 49-28. This is a good Lancaster team, but on the other side, John Tyler might actually be the favorite in this football game, guys.
Yeah, I would say they probably are. I mean, they've been streaking for 7 weeks now. They come in hot, 7-game win streak. They're averaging 520 yards and 45 points in their last 3 games. They're clicking on all cylinders, and they ran for 270 yards a game this past season. They split carries between Roderick Hawkins, Cameron Grant. Hawkins, 5'8", 190 pounds. He's a bowling ball. He's their workhorse. He's their guy. But Grant can also do it as well. 5'10", 185 pounds. Both of those guys are their offense, but they can also throw, man. And I think that's really where this game comes down to. Where's the advantage? I think John Tyler has that at the quarterback position. There's athletes all over the place. We know Lancaster's got a good defense. John Tyler's defense, fantastic. Skill positions all over the place for both guys. But which team has the quarterback that you trust? Well, John Tyler with the senior quarterback, Devlin Woods. He's a little guy, man. Only 5'8", 170 pounds, but don't tell that to him because he's got 1,900 yards through the air and 21 touchdowns. The dude was fantastic, and his favorite target, man, this guy is a stud. I don't know how he wasn't a player to watch so far this year. Keandre Street, 6'2", 200 pounds at receiver. He's going to be going to Houston. This dude averages 28 yards per catch. That is almost unfathomable. On 800 yards this year, 10 touchdowns. I think that's really where this game comes down to. The fact that I trust Devlin Woods more than I trust Rod Hudson III. And even though they put up 37 points a game, I'm talking about Lancaster now, they put up plenty of points, but I still think that when you talk about a John Tyler team that can score with anybody and they have a fantastic defense, it always comes down to, okay, if all things are even, who's got the better quarterback? Well, I think Devlin Woods is clearly the superior quarterback here. And the other thing is John Tyler, they force turnovers defensively. Lancaster, they're going to have to take care of the football today. John Tyler, they got 2 last week. They capitalize all the time on them. And I just think this should be a good game, but I think what puts it over the top, Devlin Woods for John Tyler, he's going to be the reason why they win the game.
Yeah, could be the reason why. And the winner of that football game will await the winner of, oh my goodness, look at this matchup. Lufkin and the Panthers versus Frisco Lone Star. Probably the best defense that we've looked at inside the entire 5A ranks against probably the best overall team in the 5A ranks. This one's at Baylor's McLean Stadium right on the Brazos River down in Waco. And this is a magnificent matchup. 9 points allowed for Lone Star, and then just Lufkin's explosiveness. It only has 39 points per game up on the board, but the fact that they can put up points, but they do it in a methodical fashion coming out of East Texas, that's going to be a magnificent game to look at McLean Stadium tomorrow night.
Yeah, Lufkin coming into the postseason was the number 5 team in the state at season's end, and Lone Star right now coming off their really impressive win over Legacy, 35-point victory. And last week, Lufkin ran for 356 yards. They run the ball incredibly well.
It's crazy. The alma mater of Des Bryant is running the football that well?
Yeah,
they sure are, man.
Des be like, where's all their receiving yards going?
Now, Lone Star, both of these teams play really, really good defense. Lone Star only gives up 80 rushing yards a game, 2.5 yards a carry. Well, Lufkin gives up 68 rushing yards a game and 2 yards a carry. So, what's going to give here? And Lone Star, they have 16 interceptions in 11 games. We know about their defense. But Lufkin, they have 3 defensive linemen with double-digit D1 offers, and it's led by the big nose guard, Carl Williams. He's committed to Arkansas. Shout out to Zach there. And 6'4", 305 pounds. This dude's an animal.
Wow.
They got a couple other guys on that D-line that can really wreck a game, and they're going to go play big college football somewhere. And they got plenty of weapons. I mean, on offense, they want to run the ball, but they got weapons. Jalen Polk at receiver, he can do plenty of things on the outside, but they want to get it to their backs. They want to get it to Smallwood. They want to get it to Barry. And let's see if the Lone Star defense can stop them. It's going to be two two defenses that, I mean, this is going to be, you guys already picked your matchups of the night. This might be mine. Because I think the first team that scores, I think first team to 17, first team to 20 is probably going to win this football game.
Yeah. And for Lone Star, it's Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims is their guy. We talked a lot about Julian Larry. I don't think they're going to have a lot of success through the ground with that big, tenacious
not going to be able to run the football.
It's going to have to be to Marvin Mims on the outside.
The only blemish on the schedule for Lufkin this year was that Longview loss on the road, 35-28. The fact that they were able to hang in against Longview as well as they did and then knock off a team like McKinney North last week as emphatically as they did, beat a Magnolia West team that we've already talked about that Mansfield Timberview knocked off. They beat them 31-7. That's a very good Lufkin football team. However, on the other side, Frisco Lone Star, even though they're not favored in this football game, Lufkin favored by 10, that Lone Star defense can really make an impact early in that football game.
No doubt. It's the battle of the defenses, and Lufkin also beat them pretty handedly earlier this year, that College Station team we just talked about.
Oh, you're exactly
right.
right.
One of College Station's 2 losses.
35-3.
Yeah, I mean, Lufkin can really put it on, and they've put it on some really, really good teams. This is by far the toughest test for Lone Star this year.
Yep.
But, hey, this is a really, really tough test for Lufkin as well. 2 stellar defenses. I can't wait. Walchuk, you said it. It's Marvin Mims. If Lone Star's going to have a chance offensively, they're not going to be able to run the ball as much as they want to. They got to put the ball in Julian Larry's hands, and his favorite guy is Marvin Mims. He's had a fantastic year. Can he do it tonight? He's going to need to have a couple of big plays.
Yeah, and it might have to come through the punt return game because we've seen Mims have an impact in the special teams. Not those mums for homecoming. Marvin Mims in the special teams game. So punt return, kick return. Lone Star's going to need to play like that to hang with Lufkin. I agree with you, Eric. Lufkin is an outstanding football team.
Yeah, that's going to be an awesome game to watch. McLean Stadium, if you don't have your tickets for either that or College Station Highland Park, which is
Geyer,
literally just down the street from where those 2 games are being played in Waco.
Yeah.
Get down to Waco in Central Texas if you can. But a lot of games throughout the North Texas area we've got to look at as well. We're going to take one final break here on the pregame edition here at Whataburger Friday Night Stars. We'll lead you up into kickoff of the 7 o'clock games, and then we'll come back at 9 o'clock, 9 to 11 for Whataburger Friday Night Stars overtime final break. And then we talk about 5A Division II Region 1 really quickly. We'll look through the rest of the 4A and other brackets throughout the North Texas area as the area round continues here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the sweet and spicy bacon burger.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is my all-time favorite.
I love this burger. It's just perfect.
2 beef patties, 2 different types of cheese, caramelized onions. My favorite thing about this burger is the sweet and spicy pepper sauce and the bacon. You get it in every bite.
Nothing beats this.
The sweet and spicy bacon burger is an all-time favorite at Whataburger.
That's happiness.
Little ideas can turn into big dreams. Big dreams require careful planning and the right partner. A partner dedicated to helping you take care of your employees, protect your business, and plan for the future. It's sometimes overwhelming. It's often exciting. It's your story, and we can help. SWBC.
You want to bring the heat? Prove it. With carbs to help fuel muscles. And electrolytes to help replace what you lose in sweat. Studied, tested, proven. Nothing beats Gatorade.
On a forbidden Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Ramon, we can't.
But Julia,
We're rivals.
I can love you and still hate your overrated school.
We have two different defensive philosophies. You're a base 4-3 cover 2, and I'm an
aggressive 3-4 with press coverage. I get it, but we both love Dr. Pepper.
Oh, Ramon.
Touchdown, State!
Yes! In your face!
Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Hey football fans, check this out. It's called FanTag, the easiest way to get video highlights from all of your games. As a parent, I know the value of capturing our kids' special moments on video. FanTag makes it easy to relive a memory or share it with family, friends, and recruiters. Download the FanTag app, and on game day, find your event and get instant highlights delivered right to your phone. So never miss a moment. Try FanTag today. It's free.
This is Academy Sports and Outdoors. We offer a huge sports and outdoors selection of top name brand gear like you've never seen. All at low prices like you've never seen. Because we're a sports and outdoor store like you've never seen. Visit us in store or at academy.com for the guaranteed lowest prices. Academy Sports and Outdoors, for all for less.
In a world where a young family embarks on an incredible journey, a son gets lost in an epic film. A father wills his team to victory, while a mother tries to talk to her daughter, who is posting online at a rate she has never seen until now. With high-speed Wi-Fi, free live TV and movies, there's something for everyone. Download the American app, and the best in entertainment travels with you.
Rockwall halfback pass back of the end zone, and the Yellow Jackets complete it. 20-14 is the game right now as the Yellow Jackets lead the Allen Eagles.
Unbelievable,
20-14. Right? Unbelievable. They missed the point after, unfortunately.
They're doing a great job. You know what? We're pulling out all the stops here. We're pulling out all the stops. It's a halfback pass. We're ready to go. Here we are, Rockwall. Trickeration. Make it happen, baby.
Yeah, dude. Rockwall out here doing their thing. And Walchuk, what'd you say? Got to get up on them early. That's exactly what they've done. Now, in those past playoff games, whatever, when Allen has lost, they've been down by 3 touchdowns early. Not so much the case now, but holy smokes, a lead's a lead, baby. When you take that against Allen, you'll take that any time. And they're pulling out all the stops. They're doing the trickeration. They got halfback passes. You already know. Listen, they got a fantastic quarterback anyways, but they've got running backs that can throw the ball. Sure, let's do it.
It's crazy, man.
It results in a touchdown. Fantastic.
It's the bust.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. Now, looking at this at the start of the second quarter, Allen just scored again.
Oh, whoa, my goodness.
21-20. Allen and the Eagles take the lead.
That lingering extra point.
Oh, what did we do? We ding one off the side or something?
I didn't know you played for Rockwall.
3-yard.
Yeah, me and the Orange Jackets, baby.
Yeah, I don't know. The Orange Jackets. The kick was blocked. That's what it was on the point after.
The little things.
Allen will find a way, man. Allen will find a way. They'll win by 1 point and it'll be off that block field.
But what did we say? And I know it's still early and this thing can be broken open by Allen at any point. But what did we say? We wanted to make sure Allen, hopefully this could be a tough game. Because if Allen blows through a great Rockwall team, then we know all these other teams are in a world of trouble. Rockwall making it close, giving these other teams a little bit of hope. Hey, if Rockwall can do it, we can hang too.
That's very true.
So I mean that's a little bit nice to think. Okay, maybe Allen will have a little bit of some challenges lying ahead if they can even get through tonight.
Yeah, they got to get through tonight.
They're uplifting. They're giving hope to the rest of the DFW.
Thank you, Jacob Clark.
Let's look through the rest of these 5A and 4A matchups really quickly. Going to 5A Division II Region 1, and really the only highlighted game that we want to look at through this area is Justin Northwest as the Texans continue in the first quarter to lead El Paso Burgess 13-0. Look at some of the final scores up there as well. Lubbock Cooper 45-0. Easy over El Paso Austin. And then Wichita Falls Ryder with a big-time win, 41-10.
The pride of JT Barrett.
You're exactly right. Then you've got Canyon Randall and Parkland. That's a good Parkland team coming out of El Paso, too. A team that can make a run there. And I think they're the Matadors. I think they're the Parkland Matadors,
like that, yeah.
Which is a nice name. But Wichita Falls Ryder moves on. So Justin Northwest, let's look at that game in depth a little bit here. 13-0 as the winner of that one moves on to play Lubbock Cooper. And right now it's a defensive football game, at least on one side of things. -4 rushing yards, only 4 total yards right now for Burgess against that Justin Northwest team. And this is not necessarily a surprise. The Texans, of course, have just run through their schedule as well, and a really kind of an underrated team out of 5A Division II, but definitely a dangerous team nonetheless.
Yeah, and I didn't really respect Northwest's schedule coming into the playoffs. So I was still kind of taking a wait-and-see approach as we get into the playoffs, and they dominate 58-20 last week. Demarius Hosey going to Minnesota, committed to play to Minnesota in college, and he's going to go dominate. Last week he had 350 yards and 5 touchdowns. Quarterback Austin Ahmad threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. They had 670 yards of offense last week.
Wow.
That's what they've really done all season. Last week was no different. It looks like tonight is going to be a very, very similar thing, and what's happening right now to El Paso Burgess is exactly what couldn't happen. They wanted to come into this game, be able to run the ball, eat up some clock, try to keep the ball out of Northwest hands as much as you can. With their quarterback Maldonado, he's not much through the air, but on the ground he can do some things. And Robert Hall is their running back. I mean, that's really what they wanted to do. They wanted to come in here and be able to run the ball. Well, -4 yards to start the game is not the way to do that. And Northwest has a fantastic linebacker, Cooper McDonald. He's only a junior, but there's a long lineage of McDonald's at Northwest. And I played with his brother Colton. He played at UNT. He was a stud linebacker. His other brother Caden, he's at San Diego State playing linebacker right now. Cooper's an absolute stud at linebacker. Northwest seems to be doing their thing. Remember, they got 4 guys with at least 500 yards and 5 touchdowns receiving. They got a ton offensively. It looks like they're going to run through this one, and we'll see what they can do after.
Yeah, and sticking with 5A Division II, we've talked about Region 2 already throughout this Friday Night Stars logo, or Friday Night Stars. But looking at the bracket there, Aledo moves on. Frisco Reedy as well with a big-time win over Midlothian. South Oak Cliff Frisco, that's going to be our Ford Center highlighted matchup just across the hallway here in just a little bit. That game kicks off in under an hour at 7:30 here in Frisco. Then Corsicana, Burleson, Centennial, a barn burner there as well. But let's go to 4A Division I. Let's take a quick look at those brackets as well. Some of the little guys along the way up at the top.
Little.
Big Springs, little team. No, I'm sorry. Big Springs. Decatur, however, another North Texas team that's kind of snuck their way into the second round of the playoffs as they had a big win over Dumas last week, 48-21, as the Decatur Eagles get that one taken care of. Canyon there, Seminole, then you got Lakeview and Hershey there at the bottom.
Hershey, man.
Hershey's good. Watch out for the Hershey Huskies.
Very good team. 56-23. They got a win last week in the bi-district matchup. Now let's go down to 4A Region 2, which as of right now looks like it's at least team-wise dominated by North Texas teams, but those teams have not necessarily fared very well, at least in the case of Melissa and the Cardinals, as they ran up against a steamroller in Waco, La Vega. They got a big-time win, La Vega 68-21 over a good Melissa team. Waco La Vega, one of the top 5 teams in the entire state, just getting the job done, and Melissa didn't really have a chance later on. We'll go into that game just in a little bit, but then you got Kennedale Paris. We have a reporter at that game, Gavin Dunaway. We'll check in with him in a little bit. And then Salina and Stephenville down at the bottom. Salina with a big-time win over the Stephenville Yellow Jackets and the fighting Jarrett Stidhams, as Salina gets the job done in that one, 31-21. But let's look at that La Vega and Melissa game in depth a little bit. Waco La Vega and the Pirates really just took this game over from the get-go. 600-plus total yards of offense, and despite the 2 turnovers, they make it easy work of the Melissa Cardinals, guys.
Yeah, and you know what? This was a Melissa team that were battle-tested. They came out of a really good district with Salina, with Argyle, with Paris, and this Waco La Vega bunch. I mean, they've been state-ranked for much of the season. They continued to prove why. I mean, they had an outstanding game, scored early and often. I mean, they were up 20-34, and ultimately they were up 48-0 halfway in the third quarter before Kennedy Lewis to Brandon Lewis, that tandem that had been magical all year long, for the Melissa Cardinals finally got going. So this Waco La Vega team, led by J.K. Walton, who had 175 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, they are the real deal and could be a serious threat for the 4A crown.
Yeah, definitely a serious threat. And that's a team that's been successful in winning championships over the past couple of years. Well, Waco La Vega will await the winner of 2 North Texas ball clubs, Kennedale and Paris. This is going to be a good football game, guys. I'm excited about this one at the 4A level.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Let's go!
From Ron Post Stadium, Kennedale, maybe the favorites in this football game, but don't expect Paris to lay down by any means in this one.
Again, Paris coming out of that very competitive district.
Yes,
Argyle
they are.
With Melissa, with Salina. But Kennedale, they got a guy who is one of my favorite players that is an unheralded but a goodie, and that is DJ Curvin. DJ Curvin is just a beast at running back for them. Kennedale's another one of those programs. They've been good for years now. No different this year. With DJ Curvin running the ship there, they're going against a Paris team. Both these teams, wing T offenses. They're very well coached. They want to grind it out. Last week, Paris got a big win over Carter, racking up 523 yards on the ground. They had 3 different running backs go for over 100. So Paris can run it. Wow. But I don't think they got a running back in that stable as good as DJ Curvin over there for Kennedale.
Yeah, that's one of the game breakers for sure. If Kennedale can get him going early, that might be a long day for Paris on that side of the football. Let's keep it with, really, that 7-4A Division I district. China Springs versus the Argyle Eagles, 11-0, 56 points per game. China Spring, 6-5 overall on the season, and the Cougars coming out of Waco. This one being played in Joshua. China Spring really has been a team that gets 3, 4, or 5 rounds deep in the playoffs, at least over the last couple of years. The team they've run into there was Carthage. Now they run into Argyle, and it's not going to be really a separate result for the China Spring Cougars. Argyle should roll easily here, guys.
Yeah, they've been outstanding all year long with Bo Hogamoom at quarterback, Dylan Carter at receiver, and Tito Bice, the sophomore running back. That is a 3-headed monster, a junior wide receiver quarterback combo, and then the sophomore. We talked about Birdville being a young team. This is an Argyle program for the last decade, has been one of the best in the state. And now when you add in the youth that they've got in their most important positions on offense, plus a really big, physical, strong offensive line and a defense, with how good that offense is, the defense hasn't allowed over 21 points in 3 games this entire year. I mean, they have been shutting people down. Chase Peter has 112 tackles and 12 sacks on defense for them. Wow. So this is an Argyle team that's complete. I mean, they will score with the best of them. They'll shut you down on defense. For China Springs, an unbelievable program that has a lot of tradition to them as well, as we see a lot in this area around. They're just going to go up against a buzzsaw in Argyle.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a down year for them. They've lost 5 games, and right now this game's already underway. Argyle's up 21-0 in the second quarter. So Argyle's going to be able to, do some damage. It's already been done. This one's pretty much already in the books. Look at that, negative 10 yards rushing. You talked about our Argyle defense, Zach. Yeah, well, they're showing out already. Hogabooms, he's already got on the board. I mean,
Hogaboom to Dylan Carter, 20-yard touchdown, and then Tito Bice, a 45-yard touchdown.
And one of the most impressive parts about this is that China Springs, a team that their identity is running the football. Eric Hart, their senior running back, is really the bread and butter of that entire offense, and he's apparently been shut down for negative 10 yards rushing, or at least that offense has overall. Let's go to that final matchup. This one, a Friday final already. Stephenville versus Salina, and the Bobcats of Salina getting it done, 31-21, despite being outgained total yardage-wise. The 5 turnovers for Stephenville tells the story, and Salina advances to face the winner of Argyle and China Springs next week, as it looks like a district matchup might be back on the rematch bucket, at least next week for this one. Salina 31-21 with the big win.
I think it speaks volumes for how good that Stephenville team was to have those 5 turnovers, but still be in this football game 24-21 halfway through the fourth quarter. Salina needed all the help they could get to win that one. Logan Point. I mean, that's really, for the Bobcats, or the Bearcats, excuse me, that is their guy. 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's been awesome for them all year long. And for Salina, credit that defense getting some big-time stops. They've got an uphill battle. We saw Salina and Argyle already just a few weeks ago. It looks like that's the destination for the regional semifinal. It wasn't close. So for Salina, maybe they learned some things in that game to go into the rematch with Argyle, but For our guy, it looks like they're well on their way to the regional final.
Yeah, and I heard actually Kenny Chesney came in there halftime in the locker room, gave him a little halftime
for this
speech.
game.
Yeah, for this
okay,
game.
Just wanted to make sure that was at least confirmed on our end. So we've got about a dozen minutes left until we're done here with this pregame show, and you know what that means.
Prediction time.
It is time for some
Eric's
predictions. Eric's time to shine as he continues to trail.
I just feel right at home during this segment.
You're in last place, buddy.
Whoa.
Never felt more comfortable than when I get to predict
Mr. Zach Wolchuk leads the show.
No kidding.
By one game over Heckma Harrison. I'm
That's an upset.
2 games back from Heckma.
And
you're 1 game back from me.
Okay.
So we're all within striking distance for
Except
sure
for me.
heading into these final weeks of the playoffs, and we've got a slate of games. And even though Heckma is not in his chair this week, he has sent us his predictions.
Of course he has. Of course he has. Although we don't need him, we can just look at who the favorite is, and that'll be who he picks.
Well, okay.
I wonder if he knows that I'm up by a game now because
I don't know if he's watching or not. He should be, though.
He's acted like he's been up by 100 points.
Has he gotten out of that food coma yet? I think he's still stuck.
He might still be stuck in the food coma after Thanksgiving. But let's start things off with some of these games. Friday night, 7 p.m. This one about to kick off. Waco Midway, my alma mater, versus the Saxe Mustangs. Eric, we're going to start with you.
Oh, I'm feeling Saxe tonight, boys. They've been on a roll. They've been streaking for about 9 weeks now. They've been looking incredible. I don't see why that stops today.
Okay.
I agree. I'm going to go with Saxe, Derrick Rose. That defense, they've just continued to find a way, and you can bet Braylon Brooks has a good chance of getting a pick 6 in this one.
Okay, I'm going to go with my alma mater. I'm going to go with Waco Midway and the Panthers to advance to the 3rd round of the playoffs. I think that defense is good enough to stop Saxe, and I think they can get James Fulbright going to make this a game.
That's a good unbiased pick from you.
It is an unbiased pick, but I'm picking my Midway Panthers. Panther pride never dies, baby. Waco Midway is going to win this football game. Heckma, who you got?
All right, guys, at Friday Night Stars, as you
look at him in a cabin.
He's alive?
With being here, camping and not there with you, but I am going to make my predictions because I still got to whoop up on Wolchuk. And so the first one I have is the Waco Midway versus Saxe. And this is a tough game to pick. You didn't do us any favors on this one, Chuck. But when I look at
the favorite,
when I look at the Saxe offense with Derrick Rose, who has been on a tear, in comparison to Waco Midway, Nick Jimenez, running back Fulbright, and also receiver Nixon. Those guys play awesome on offense. And also the Midway Panthers have a stout defense, but I think it's going to be the Saxe Mustangs that run away with this one. Saxe has a high-powered offense with Derrick Rose, like I said, but also their DBs, Micah Buchanan, Matthew Carter, Jameson LaJoya, and Braylon Brooks. Those guys are going to make the difference in this game, so I'm going with Saxe.
Well, Saxe is his pick. I'm the only one by myself picking Waco Midway. I'm okay with that. I'm confident in my pick.
How about that Heckma stranded in the woods somewhere in the mountains?
Like he
still finds a
way.
Well,
he's got a lot of analysis on his picks, so we're going to have to get through these quickly. Arlington and Tascosa out of Amarillo. This game also a 7 o'clock Friday kickoff. Zach, who you got?
I'm going with Jahari Rogers and the Arlington Colts.
All right.
I was feeling Saxe a minute ago. Now I'm feeling peachy. Give me the Colts.
Oh, I like what you did there. I'm taking Arlington as well. Heckma, who you got?
All right. And for my second game, the Amarillo Tascosa versus the Arlington Colts. Look, guys, we've been talking about our guy. We know him. We love him. Mr. Do-It-All, Jahari Rogers. This is going to be a tough matchup for him. I mean, obviously, when you look at some of these tough West Texas teams, these are a bunch of names, bunch of guys you don't know, but you look at the record and you see some of the other teams that they've played. No. Gives you a little bit of pause and just going Arlington on this one. But Jahari Rogers, Arlington coach, Coach Peach, these guys are going to be too tough. I'm going Arlington Colts on this pick.
No surprise there as Arlington across the board. And even though they're favored, I mean, that's a good pick. We all picked Arlington, so we can't give them any flack on that.
I disagree.
Sticking with Amarillo, though, Amarillo Caprock versus Grapevine, another good game out of that district that we talked about earlier with Grapevine probably being the favorite here, and that's why I'm going to pick them. I'm picking the Mustangs. So you got it.
Yeah, I'll do some home cooking with Grapevine here. They're a local squad. Their offense is incredible. Caden Rhodes at quarterback. Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah,
Mustangs.
Like Cade Rhodes all the way. 2 good quarterbacks. Tariq Williams, of course, on the other side of the Caprock, but I think Cade Rhodes is red hot right now for Grapevine.
Well, let's see what Heckma's pick is from In the Woods.
This is the Grapevine versus Amarillo Caprock. And man, Cade Rhodes has been on the money all season long. He's 200 yards away from having 3 stacks of yardage this season, 33 touchdowns on the season. But guys, he's running into a tough Amarillo Caprock Longhorns team. These guys are hidden out in West Texas, but I'm telling you, big team. They play discipline. They play together. Caleb King and Corbin Putnam is the engine for the Longhorns. There's a thunder and lightning kind of tandem that they got. But I'm going... hey, man, I'm not going chalk on this one. I'm going to go Amarillo.
Woo! So he picks Amarillo.
He's not going chalk. This is a shocker.
I love it.
Wow.
This is a shocker for our show.
It is a shocker.
Oh, my goodness.
That is still the upset of the week.
Unbelievable.
Rockwall beats Allen.
I'm proud of you for going out on a limb.
Yeah, that's awesome. Caprock is Heckma's pick on that one. Now let's go to Corsicana, Burleson, Centennial, 2 teams a little bit southern side of that Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I'm going to pick the Spartans of Burleson Centennial to win this football game. Zach, who you got?
Yes, I agree. We talked about DJ Curvin a little earlier. It's Jeff Curvin this time for Burleson Centennial. They won by 2 in their first meeting. I think they find a way to do it again in a close one.
Same. Centennial's been incredible so far. Why stop now?
Why stop now? And that's why we're not going to stop sending it to Heckma.
It's a home game for Burleson.
Oh, it is a home game.
Yes,
You're exactly right. Which is a second-round home game. Very rare. But we are going to send it to Heckma. Heckma, who you got on this one?
All right, and let's see here. Corsicana versus Burleson Centennial. Now, Corsicana, obviously a team that has been playing some tough matchups.
Look at the dog in the background.
We have a couple, but one of the most notable ones late in the season,
best-looking thing on screen.
Ennis. However, this is another game that they lost at the beginning of this season. They lost to Burleson Centennial. A lot of times you believe that familiarity breeds contentment. But, guys, I'm going to go with Burleson Centennial. I think they're too tough, and they'll take it again.
No surprise there. Burleson Centennial, that team can run the football. And I've got a question. Is that Mrs. Heckma filming him, who's really done all the brute work and all of these prediction picks?
Yeah, I think so.
Probably
I think it probably is.
Much better half.
Okay. Yeah, it's much better half is indeed correct. I hope he's watching. I really do. South Oak Cliff versus Frisco, the game that is just across the way at the Ford Center. We've got the graphic up on our left-hand side of the screen. And, man, this is going to be a good football game. South Oak Cliff versus the Raccoons. Eric, who you got?
Yeah, South Oak Cliff, too much speed, too much defense. They're going to dominate.
I agree. Sean Sims will do it on offense, and they'll get some defensive scores. They're too much for Frisco.
I'm going to take the Bears by far, and I think it's going to be a big win for South Oak Cliff, a statement win against a good Frisco team. Let's see who Heckma has.
All right, and my last pick is the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears versus the Frisco Raccoons. Guys, look, I don't have to tell you who I'm going with on this. You know who I'm going with. It's SOC all day. SOC, you see that? SOC all day.
We can barely see it, but we see it.
Sims, Cameron Davis, and the Death Row defense. Triple D bring it home. My guy, Jason Todd, has these guys coached up, ready to go. They have almost better numbers than Duncanville collectively. I mean, they are the, Duncanville Junior. So I'm going, look, guys, I'm going South Oak Cliff, Golden Bears all the way. Triple D bring it home.
He's in the midst of a wolf, and he's still giving his prediction picks.
He's still glamping out there. That was brilliant, Chris Beam.
I know, Chris is back there. That is not his last pick. We've got 2 more we got to get to here before the end of the hour. Paris, Kennedale, big-time matchup at the 4A ranks. Kennedale is my team. I think Kennedale's going to get this done. I think Paris keeps it close. But I think overall Kennedale gets the job done.
I'll take Paris. I know Curvin's your guy, but I'll take Paris. Always
all right. It's a battle of those wing T offenses. You're taking Paris.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and go with Kennedale. I'm not picking against DJ Curvin.
Saw a wing T offense at the 4A level earlier. I called that Connolly game versus Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove, the defending state champions at the 4A Division II level. So wing T still works because they got the win 24-6 in that ball game. Like I said, I'm taking Kennedale. Let's see who Heckma has.
All right, and a game versus the Wildcats. Paris.
Oh, we've changed
locations
locations.
That was fast. Wildcats. I'm going to choose Paris. I think Paris has a better team. I think quarterback Savage is going to make all the difference. Paris definitely gets the victory.
Look at his son's like, Dad, that's perfect.
That's the right
You said
pick.
that just how I wrote it out for you.
Yes, you're exactly right. Repping the North Texas Mean Green as well.
Call.
And the final game that we're going to predict here in the area round matchup, this one could be split between the 4 of us. We'll see exactly who Heckma has as well. But College Station versus Highland Park. This game being played at Waco ISD Stadium. And this is a massive matchup. I'm going to go with the Scots here, but I think it's close. And I think Chandler Morris has to fight through a little bit of adversity tomorrow to get the job done, but I think Highland Park ultimately will win the game of the defending champions. They've had a lot more experience, I should say, at 5A Division I. The College Station has, and I think they get it done in advance. Eric, who you got?
I'm going, if this game was at Highlander, it's Highland Park all the way.
Yes.
It's not. I'm going with College Station. They give up less than 20 points per game. I think their defense, combined with the fact they have stellar offense, I think their defense is better than Highland Park's. They have the edge.
Yeah, College Station with a great dual threat quarterback in Brandon Williams. We talked about that earlier. I'm taking Highland Park, and you know what? I don't think it's really going to be close come the fourth quarter.
Okay.
I think College Station will hang around for a while. I think the Scottish are going to pull away. They're just a better football team. College Station lost a lot from that team that won the state a year ago.
You're exactly right. Now let's see for the final pick, Heckma, who you got?
All right, my next game is the Highland Park versus College Station. You know, Chiafalo, I'm going to do us all some favors and not do any stats. You like that? Any analysis?
Love it.
Because I know that your guy Walchuk is going to bring all of the analysis, and there's no way
well, Eric is my
he's
guy.
going to pick against the Highland Park Scouts, and so neither will I. Even if I win, I lose. If I lose, I win. Either way, whatever. I'm going Highland Park on this one. Forget about it.
Forget about it, indeed. He gets Highland Park, and Eric is all alone with College Station.
I'm proud of Eric over here, man.
Yeah, going out on a limb. That's going to do it.
Comeback, man. I'm trying to make a comeback.
You are trying to make a comeback. You got to make some ground up somewhere.
Bold
but that is going to do it here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars pregame edition. We've got overtime coming up. Be sure to join us on Twitter, YouTube, on Vimeo, and on Facebook as well. But, man, we've got a lot going on around the area round matchup in North Texas as we get set for the area matchup 9 to 11. Be sure to join us for free on all those social media platforms. We'll be back then here for Whataburger Friday Night Stars.
It was so funny when they were just arguing with each other.